This June 30, 2016 regular meeting number 22 of the Fairfax County School Board will now come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence, and the performance of the national anthem by Sophie Harai, Cappy's nominee for Best Female Vocalist for her role in Mount Vernon High School's production of Guys and Dolls.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Remarkable.
Madam Chair, if you will, I would just like to say thank you to Sophie for that beautiful performance. I have had the pleasure of knowing her for several years right now. She and her family are constituents of Ms. Corbett Sanders, and just thank you for sharing your talents with us and being here at the start of your summer vacation. We appreciate it.
In order to comply with Section 2.23712D of the Code of Virginia, it's necessary for the board to certify that since the Fairfax County School Board convened a closed meeting on June 30th, 2016, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the board during the closed meeting. Do I have a motion? Moved by Mr. McIlvaine, seconded by Ms. Corbett Sanders. All those in favor? Ms. Darana Koufax, Mr. McIlvaine, Ms. Huff, Ms. Strauss, Ms. Corbett Sanders, Evans, Hines, Moon, Schultz, and Palchik. All those opposed, those abstaining. Ms. McLaughlin, thank you. Item 2.03, announcements. I would just like to make one announcement. I know we have a former school board member with us tonight, Mr. Ted Velkoff, if you could wave. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. If you would like to review a copy of the agenda and any agenda item that is being discussed tonight, that information is on the table by the auditorium entrance. You may access tonight's agenda and related meeting documents by going to the FCPS website, select School Board, and then Upcoming Meetings and Agendas. The meeting is also being streamed live on the FCPS website homepage. Click on Watch School Board Live. Please turn off or silence your cell phones. I remind everyone that tonight is a business meeting and ask those in attendance to conduct themselves with the decorum appropriate to the proceedings. Loud conversation or outbursts will not be tolerated. Out of respect for your fellow citizens and the board, please stand in support only during the public comment period and remain seated during the rest of the meeting. We have made the gymnasium available tonight in case additional seating is needed. The gym is equipped with audio and visual of the meeting, so you will not miss any part of the meeting. Finally, we ask that you please do not approach the dais, the table here during the meeting. Is there an announcement from Mr. Press? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to begin by recognizing two Boy Scouts in the audience here with us tonight, Trung Huang from Troop 1845 and Ian Neal from Troop 654. If you'd stand so we can recognize you. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight is also very special in that I get to say there are not one, not two, not three, but 4 student representatives in the room today. We're joined by Harris Latif, the immediate past student representative, Laura Chu, the incoming student representative. Stand up, Laura, so we can recognize you. She starts tomorrow. And Reed Voss, the student representative in 1999. Thank you.
Thank you. We are truly blessed tonight. That's exciting. Item 2.02, a resolution honoring Linda L. Burke. I call on Mr. Moon for the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is my great honor to present this resolution. I'm happy that she's finally finding some time to relax, but at the same time, so sad to see her go. But you're not moving out of Fairfax County, and we prohibit you from moving out of Fairfax County. You better stay close to Gatehouse because we may need your service from time to time, even after your retirement. That before I read the formal resolution, that Madam Chair, I have a few remarks to share with the colleagues and others in the audience and those who are watching TV. It's not just my own remarks. I have asked around the folks who have known Mrs. Burke for many, many years, and I'll have some of their comments as well. It's only 3 pages, so just relax. By the way, Mrs. Burke, I really appreciate the little gift you have given me for me to read over summer. I picked it up today. The title is, What Are We Fighting For? Coming together around what matters most. It could possibly be a religious book, but could also maybe relevant, very relevant to what I do as a policymakers on public education as well. So I'm going to be reading this over summer, and thank you so much. This is from your old, still colleague of yours, Danny Meyer, a former principal, retired principal from Robinson Secondary. He said, being an old football coach, he was as shocked to see the principal Lake Braddock on the panel during his interview for Robinson principal position. After all, Robinson and Lake Braddock were arch rivals. However, in his first week as a principal, he received a beautiful bouquet of flowers from her, and he soon found out that because of the commonalities of the 2 extremely large secondary schools located in such a proximity, there was much to be learned from each other. And because Mrs. Burke always saw the big picture, she was always available for collaboration, support, and friendly advice. Mr. Meyer further states that because of Mrs. Burke's leadership, the Lake Braddock-Robinson rivalry was the friendliest rivalry that he has ever experienced. And because of her sincere, honest, caring nature, she became a dear friend. And this is from your executive assistant, Yvette Rose. Linda is a grace under fire, calm, kind, courageous, gets to the bottom of things, answers the questions, does the research, unique ability to calm down a parent or a family, and I believe school board members as well, and very good at explaining the rules so that the parent is satisfied and can go away happy. Of course, that includes board members again. Good at working with the schools and the system to solve a problem. This is from a gentleman sitting right behind you, Mr. McCann. Mrs. Burke is always guided by values and doing what is best for the kids. has often said she wants her tombstone to read, "We're not wishing to die anytime soon," that she was always fair. Linda is one of those people who can quickly assess a situation, understand the factors involved, and find the best path to resolution. Often we would be discussing an issue and she would have an insight into the situation that was unique, brilliant, and not readily apparent. Linda always believed in empowering people. She always wanted to put good people in positions to lead and then trusted them to make decisions. But she was always there for support, guidance, advice, and occasional redirection when needed. Linda always fostered a kid-first, family-first atmosphere. Her family is incredibly important to her. I see many of her family members around you tonight, and this guided her in her work. She always wanted to know about your family. Wonder Woman. It is amazing how she has done so much with the family, church, FCPS, and all the volunteer community organizations she has served over the years. She is just amazing. And this is from somebody who has worked for you for many, many years, a principal at Liberty Middle School, Dr. Catherine Sipperly. Linda always followed the rules. She had high expectations for everyone, teachers, staff, students, parents, and everyone wanted to rise to her expectations because she was so professional and rewarding. Professional, warm, and welcoming. You felt good working for her. And this is from me. I met you for the first time back in 1997 when you applied for a position at the Lake Braddock Secondary School. You were, at that time, a principal at Twain Middle School. For me, back then, as a Braddock District School Board member, had a pleasure of sitting down with you and having some conversation right behind here. You remember that. That was almost 20 years ago. I'm sure that you also remember the questions I did ask you, whether, coming from such much smaller school, whether you could handle a Lake Braddock, which is probably 3-4 times as big. You have proven more than enough for me very quickly that you could certainly do the job, and much better than I ever expected anyone to perform. You were the principal of my own 2 sons when they were at Lake Braddock Middle School. And at one time, this is for both of my sons, for my first boy, when he has some trouble with grown-ups at the Lake Braddock, that you made a point that even the grown-ups make mistakes, and when they do, they should apologize. And there was one particular incident, you remember that grown-up needed to apologize, my 2 sons, and you handled that situation really, really well. And that was my personal thanks as a parent to you. And for my second boy, you are very flexible in exercising your judgment and discretion, and allowed him to take a math class he wanted to take. Now, Woo-young, my second boy, is doing his PhD in physics. He's a 3rd year doing physics PhD, using a lot of his math he loved. And thank you so much. With that, let me read the resolution. I would like to invite Mrs. Burke to step to the lectern. Whereas Linda L. Burke has served Fairfax County Public Schools for 42 years with excellence and dedication. Throughout her career with FCPS, Mrs. Burke has effectively and energetically represented and served the interests of students, teachers, schools, and diverse communities in a variety of positions, including teacher at Frost and Cooper Middle Schools, assistant principal at Kilmer Middle and Hayfield Secondary Schools, principal at Twain Middle School and Lake Braddock Secondary School, the Cluster 7 assistant superintendent, and most recently, the associate superintendent for regional leadership. And whereas during her tenure as a principal of Lake Braddock Secondary School, Mrs. Burke implemented a massive staff development plan that integrated advanced instructional technology into each classroom, introduced professional learning communities that supported rising test scores for SATs, advanced placement exams, and standards of learning tests at all levels. With a dramatic increase in participation in AP courses by all students, accomplishments which led to multiple years of recognitions that ranked Lake Braddock among the nation's top high schools. While principal at Lake Braddock Secondary, Mrs. Burke served as the president of the High School Principals Association in 2007 and was the 2003 Principal of the Year finalist. And whereas, as the Cluster 7 Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Burke inspired excellence at 24 schools that served approximately 25,000 students. Through her individual and collective efforts, Mrs. Burke supported leadership initiatives at all Cluster 7 schools, which included ongoing study and professional development, the monitoring of each school's advances in the development of collaborative teams and assessment for learning. Her work ensured that teachers and students in Cluster 7 schools increased their capacity with the daily opportunities in both innovation and enrichment, resulting in higher student achievement. And whereas, during her tenure as Associate Superintendent for Regional Leadership, Mrs. Burke supported FCPS in successfully transitioning through a reorganization to a regional structure of support to schools. As the Associate Superintendent, she provided leadership and guidance to regional assistant superintendents and executive principals, while sharing her systematic experiences and expertise as a member of Superintendent's Cabinet. And whereas in every leadership position in which Mrs. Burke has served, she has modeled integrity, compassion, and genuineness. Over the course of her FCPS career, Mrs. Burke has mentored a multitude of teachers, administrators, and support staff. Her ability to identify and hire talented leaders throughout the school division has positively impacted the lives of countless children, families, schools, and communities. The effect of her outstanding leadership will be evident for years to come. Now, therefore, be resolved that Fairfax County School Board extends its highest commendation and deepest appreciation to Linda L. Burke upon her retirement and thanks her for her inspirational leadership, outstanding service, and unwavering dedication to the students, teachers, administrators, and communities of Fairfax County Public Schools. I so move.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Ms. Corbett Sanders. All those in favor? That is unanimous, unsurprisingly.
At this time, I would like to invite the family and friends of Mrs. Burke to join us at the dais for a photo. And then you want to ask for the photo.
Well, thank you all so very much for your very generous comments. I'm overwhelmed by your kindness. Hearing from so many people I regard so highly has made the past few weeks quite joyous. I promise to be brief, but I do want to acknowledge several individuals and colleagues this evening. First and foremost, though, my family that you've all had a chance to meet, with the exception of Wesley Charles, who is one and home sleeping. The people I love most in the world are here tonight, so that's quite an honor for me. For those who know me well, you hear me talk about my family every single day. They have inspired me and supported me and made me a better person and leader. My dad, I have to speak about him for just a minute, who I hope is looking down from above, taught me about courage. A World War II veteran on the front lines in Normandy, he understood risking everything to make a positive difference. My parents taught me to make good choices, and I hope I never disappointed them. I often told my principals one of my dad's favorite sayings, which is really relevant to all of us, and that is, you can do a lot of good in the world if you don't care who gets the credit. Having been principal of 3 FCPS elementary schools, my husband's perspective helped me serve our elementary schools better. His willingness to listen and support my work has been immeasurable. Our 2 sons, FCPS graduates, continue to make me so very proud, and they continue to teach me important lessons. I've learned diligence and tenacity from our oldest son, Charlie. His recent leadership work has provided new opportunities for us to enjoy sharing ideas and solutions. Chris's passion is for music and worship, and through his leadership, my faith and my heart have grown. Our daughters-in-law who are here are incredible professionals and mothers. They understand balance and believe, like me, in the importance of keeping family first. My grandchildren, wave you all, Emma, Colin, Morgan, and Wesley at home, have put an unending song in my heart. And with that kind of joy at the center of your life, working for all the children and FCPS became even a more magnificent opportunity. Eric McCann, sometimes known as my 3rd son, you are the most amazing work partner. Keep taking care of our kids. Dr. Lockhart and I walked down the hall not long ago and noticed that there were 7 superintendents that I had served under, and we thought that was kind of incredible. I do want to thank the board this evening, and you know, with Mr. Velkoff here, both past and present board members. You know, I'm very, very grateful for your wisdom, your dedication, and the support that you've given me through the years. My journey in FCPS started as a choral music teacher. The arts bring out our humanity, so we must always protect them. In particular, we know that music makes us smarter, and nothing touches our souls like the perfect song. I believe without question that being a principal is the most significant and rewarding position in our school system, maybe in the world. Principals guide and inspire their teachers to do their best. And as a member of the leadership team, I cherished most my work with principal selection and mentoring. Our FCPS principals are world class. Dr. Garza, it's been an unbelievable honor to serve with you. Thanks for your trust in me and all that you have done for everyone in FCPS. Dr. Lockhart, it's easy to describe you. You're just simply the best. I'm grateful to my RAS EP team and my other leadership team colleagues for your friendship. your commitment to building our team, and really enjoying our work together. And I must mention all of the EAAs and other support staff who have truly touched my life. Many of you are lifelong friends. I began my LT experience 9 years ago with a favorite quote from Michelangelo, and it was, "I saw an angel in the stone and carved to set it free." Dr. Garza, I'm not sure about angels, but I know we have found and molded many outstanding leaders. Scott Brabrand, superintendent in Lynchburg, and my former associate principal at Lake Braddock, recently reminded me of another quote by one of our teachers who said, "In your absence, there is presence." I know that all of you will carry on by doing what's best with dignity and grace. Tonight, I end my journey with a quote from one of the first musicals I ever directed as a middle school teacher, Scrooge. The whole company is on stage singing the finale when Bob Cratchit raises Tiny Tim to his shoulders, and as the curtain goes down, Tiny Tim removes his hat, holds it in the air, and exclaims, "God bless us, everyone." Thank you and good night.
Mrs. Burke, if you don't mind,
you
I
can't leave
think
yet.
there are some other school board members who would like to further embarrass you with tales of joy. But Dr. Garza, do you want to start us off?
Yes, I certainly can, and it's hard for me not to get emotional when I talk about Linda, so I can't look at you, Linda. This morning it was a little bit poetic that I was headed to the regional offices because I was going in to visit with a panel that had been put together to talk about a principal selection. So that was kind of poetic. And I had the opportunity to go into Linda's office, and it was really kind of hard to see that all of her things were packed. And, we looked at graduation pictures from a number of the high schools that Linda supported. But, I've been doing this for almost 30 years. Well, I actually can't say almost anymore. It's 30 years I've been doing this. And Linda's one of the best I've ever worked with. One of the best. She just brings out the best in other people. And you know what? What more can you hope for? Is to be a wonderful model, role model, leader, inspire so many people. And I look out at FCPS, and there are countless people in this system today that have been touched by that wonderful lady right there. Now, she's also been joined, she has they're really a dynamic duo, because we also didn't say too much about Larry, but Larry has also been done so much work throughout our system in supporting our principals. They together have been just this wonderful team. But Linda, I will tell you that you talked about a quote and how your father inspired you, and I will tell you that you have done so much good in FCPS, and that your presence, your impact certainly is felt today, but it will be felt for many, many years to come. So I just am delighted and proud and pleased that I had an opportunity to work with you, and that I can call you a colleague and a friend, and just wish you the very best in retirement. I know you will have a lot to keep your time busy with these wonderful and beautiful grandchildren. So I thank you for your support throughout these past 3 years.
Mrs. Strauss?
Thank you. All the wonderful things that people have already said, but your own words just made it all so worth it. And as Dr. Garza said, you have touched so many, and you have developed so many people, and making the right decisions to help other people come forward. And that's what we do every day with children in schools. And we are so lucky that you have been with us and been a leader for so many years in Fairfax County. That is somewhat unusual. And it was almost as though we did not want to let you go. We kept hanging on. No, Linda, don't leave us, don't leave us. So, and of course, you're welcome to come back. You know, we do a lot of that. But you have been inspirational, and you have been so dedicated to not just helping children, but helping all of us. Tremendous, tremendous respect. And very often, if there were difficult decisions or, you know, should we do this or that, it was, what does Linda Burke think about this? And those quiet discussions always helped guide us, and it's wonderful to see your grandchildren. And the best part about schools is we never run out of children, and it's so wonderful to see you happy and looking forward to the next sort of adventure in your life. But thank you so much on behalf of all the children and the families that you've touched. You've been wonderful. Thank you. And of course, it's because you started out in music and theater. That must have been what did the trick, so thanks.
Mrs. Schultz?
I was so glad that you brought up Mr. McCann in your speech, because I thought, what is it that you know you leave behind in a school system? Like, how do you know you made a difference? And he's sitting right next to you. And that's the beauty, is that by fostering the people who come behind you, you've planted the seeds of people like Mr. McCann, who I was such a champion for, to become one of our principals. And so your crop is going to continue to produce fruit after you go, because of the time that you spent with us. And so it wasn't just the time that you were here, it's the time going forward where you're going to continue to make an impression on the system.
Ms. Darnak Kofax?
Linda, I haven't been as fortunate as some of my colleagues who've worked with you all through the years. But when we did have the opportunity to work together, the reputation that you were known for, one of a caring education professional, someone who inspires others, someone who knows how to mentor and to lead and to best deal with a challenging situation, was always evident. So I thank you for that. I wish you much happiness as we reluctantly finally allow you to retire, and just thank you for your many, many years of service. And for the record, I did try to dissuade my colleagues from their antics at your retirement ceremony, but at least now you have the fun picture to deal with. So we will miss you, and thank you for all that you've done for us and the many lives of the children and families that you've touched. Thank you.
Well, it has been such a joy to celebrate with you and your family and many of your colleagues. A career long, well, and gracefully served, and to wish you well in your well-earned retirement as well. So thank you so much for everything. You can go now if you want to. That's okay. Okay, I am actually going to hand the gavel to Ms. Evans for the next part of the meeting.
Thank you. I call on Ms. Hines for a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. I have the honor of presenting a resolution honoring Ben Press, our student representative, who has been a bit of a revolution around here, I think. I know that my colleagues will have a lot of wonderful things to say to you, so I won't steal all their thunder, but I will say why, for me, you have served as a leader, actually, on this board, and a role model, an example for me. I know that I get really good information about what students in this school system are thinking, even though there are 187,000 of them and just one of Mr. Press. I know that I get good information about the student voice, partly because he works as hard as he does to make sure that he gets that information. We don't really want to do the math to know how many days he has not actually been in school, in his own school, but instead has been out at every other school visiting with students and bringing back really important information for us. The other reason that I know we get good information and that he really does bring the student voice is because Mr. Press really knows how to listen. And I think that that's a lesson for all of us all the time, you know, that saying that we have two ears and one mouth. When you listen, you don't talk, you know. And I have seen Mr. Press do that. I've been in situations where he and I were both in a room full of students, and he's silent the whole time. He is silent and empathically listening. He is taking everything in. And I know for myself what a challenge it is as a teacher, and then as a school board member, when I go into a room, sort of a captive audience full of students, right? How challenging it is for me to be careful not to talk too much, not to be kind of the sage on the stage, but instead to take that opportunity to listen and learn. And so Mr. Press provides that example, I think, for all of us in what he does. And it is such a great skill, something I think we have to assume his parents and his wonderful family gave to him and that he brought to us. And so I'm very grateful to them and to him for that. Now, when it's time to speak, Mr. Press does speak. Believe me, he is not afraid to speak, but he also definitely knows when and how to listen and how powerful that is. So thank you. So I do have a resolution, some whereases that we'll get through here. Whereas Benjamin G. Press, a graduating senior at James Madison High School, has served with dedication and enthusiasm as the 45th student representative to the Fairfax County School Board for the 2015-2016 school year, and whereas Ben has demonstrated his keen interest in his fellow students by strongly advocating for their well-being and academic success, has taken seriously his role as the board's student representative by regularly attending board meetings, work sessions, and public hearings, and by engaging with and listening to student concerns and suggestions during his visits to almost all FCPS high schools and secondary schools, and has effectively shared student perspectives with the board. And whereas he has set an impressive example of community service and involvement by working with multiple advocacy organizations, including Real Food for Kids and the Fairfax County Council of PTAs, on student health and wellness issues. He was the Hunter Mill District participant in the school board leadership cohort in 2013-2014. He served on the school board's School Health Advisory Committee. He has earned the rank of Eagle Scout and has been a youth representative to the executive board of the National Capital Area Council of the Boy Scouts of America. And whereas he has focused attention on the impact of student workload and later start times on student health, and served on the organizing committee and as MC for the first community conversation on teen stress. And whereas Ben has been an excellent role model for students by maintaining personal academic excellence in a rigorous schedule of advanced placement classes, being actively involved in student activities, the Student Advisory Council, and the Student Government Association at Madison High School, being president of the Distributive Education Clubs of America chapter at Madison High School, a member of the French, History, and National Honor Societies, and serving as a mentor to the Bridges program at Cunningham Park Elementary School, a music program for economically disadvantaged students. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fairfax County School Board acknowledges with gratitude the contributions and service of Benjamin G. Press from July 1, 2015 through June 30, 2016, and extends its best wishes to him for continued success as he begins his post-secondary academic studies and in all his future endeavors. I so move. Is there a second? Seconded by, oh, I'm sorry, seconded by Ms.
That's all right, you're used to that. Seconded by Ms. Derenak Kope.
Okay, well, so you say all those in favor.
All those in favor. I thank you. And that is unanimous.
Okay. We'll get it together. Okay. We have a special, we'll get to more of that. But we also tonight, the Fairfax County Council of PTAs at this time has submitted, unfortunately, Ms. Debbie Kilpatrick could not be here to honor you herself, so she submitted a video presentation for you, and we'll do this right now.
I'm pleased to be here with you, even though it's by video, to join with others tonight as we celebrate the accomplishments of Ben Press. I met Ben at one of the first superintendent's listening tours and was so impressed with him and his advocacy for FCPS students. I continued to see him at many of the same events that were of great interest to our council and our local PTAs. When I became president in 2014, I invited Ben to join our council executive board as its first student member. He kindly accepted my invitation and was appointed for a 2-year term. I knew Ben would become even more involved with the school district, and having an engaged student voice on our board was so important. Ben attended our Virginia PTA Day at the General Assembly to meet with our legislators and the Secretary of Education as an FCC PTA representative. He also attended our state PTA annual conference as a voting student delegate on behalf of the council. I was not at all surprised that he was elected as the 2015-16 FCPS School Board student member. Even though he was extremely busy with his duties on the school board and as a student, he continued to represent our council by serving as a panel member at our diversity conference last October. Ben has been an excellent student representative for FCC PTA, and it is an honor to present him with the Fairfax County Council of PTA's Student Leadership Award for his dedicated service and support during the 2014-16 term. Congratulations, Ben, and thank you so much for your leadership. You are a true PTA advocate. We wish you all the best as you continue your academic and community service career at Princeton.
So Ben, we have we have a few goodies for you here that we would like to present to you out front with you, all your friends and families and all your fans. And also I understand Ms. Kimberly Adams has a gift from the FCC PTA. So we'll do that right now and take a picture, all right?
Sorry, bad habits.
Okay, I think other board members would probably like to say some nice embarrassing things about you as well. So just, and then, you talk first? Okay, you talk first. Please, talk first.
I will stay here. I think it's fitting that I should make my final remarks from this chair. Thank you so much for those extremely kind words. It really does mean a lot, and it still hasn't all hit me yet that it's all drawing to a close. But after over 1,000 miles of driving around the county and state, 250 plus hours of meetings, 24 schools, 1,500 students visited, 3 full pages of absences from school, and not 1 but 2 school boards, it seems my time as student representative has drawn to a close. And I can say I have loved every single minute of it. From the all-day work sessions to the all-night business meetings, and yes, even getting those texts saying, there's snow in the forecast, can you close school? No. Over the past year, in all seriousness, we accomplished some pretty great things. We adopted a strategic plan that would practically become a holy text around here. We defeated Snowzilla. We implemented very successfully, I might add, later high school start times. We gave our teachers a pretty well-deserved raise, and so much more that I could not have imagined when this journey all started. A little under a year ago, a nervous, cautious, and very overwhelmed version of myself took his seat in this chair for the first time and told you he would work to achieve 3 goals. Number 1, building a budget that protected student programs and empowered student achievement. Number 2, forming a grading policy for our high and secondary schools that reflected student learning while remaining equitable across the division. And number 3, bolstering frameworks to support student mental health and reduce stress. Little did he expect that with a couple hundred emails, a few dozen meetings, and a lot of missed school, they might one day all be accomplished, or at least well on their way to being accomplished. Take, for example, our work on mental health. For the first time in FCPS history, we will be communicating between schools, rolling out a website of mental health best practices and resources that will enable our student leaders to take ownership of mental health awareness in their buildings. No longer, hopefully, will there be pockets of excellence or the feeling of working in a vacuum. A rising tide of sharing information in this case lifts all boats. And to support that work, we passed a wellness policy that after 3 years of hard work that I was proud to take part in, outlines how this system is committed to the health and wellness of the whole child. Take a look at our budget. By empowering students to communicate what was important to them, whether through the budget tool or meeting with them personally, we heard what was important to them. We as a student community were able to have our voices heard at the Board of Supervisors, at the Budget Task Force, and at this board table. And as a result of that shared dialogue between our students, teachers, parents, and our community, we were able to secure the biggest investment in FCPS in the past decade. We protected student programming. We're able to keep some great teachers and empowered student achievement. And finally, our grading policies. Thanks to some awesome staff work, a lot of feedback from students and from our educators, we were able to take steps to eliminate discrepancies in grading that led to uneven playing fields for our students. I cannot overstate how huge of a step this is. We are undoing years of inequity that made it more challenging for students to earn grades that should, in practice, mean the same thing no matter what school you're at. With that said, there are still a few items of unfinished business that I will leave behind. I'm still not satisfied with where we are in the funding structures for our schools. I think we can do better in working with our state and county partners to put FCPS in a place where it can pay its teachers the salary that they deserve and maintain excellence in our courses without having to be as worried about the tough budget years around the corner will be critical. I wish we could have found some new pathways to graduation that make it easier for students to leave our system with marketable 21st century job skills. I wish we could have reduced some of the high-stakes testing burden placed on our students and teachers. I guess my wonderful successor, Laura Chu, will have plenty of work to do. Before I conclude my remarks, I'd like to say a few thank yous. First and foremost, to my family for always being such a great support, great source of advice, and understanding that I might not always make it home in time for dinner, and for boosting the viewership on Channel 21. I'd also like to thank my principal, Mr. Greg Hood, for being here tonight, and the entire administration for Madison for never conducting that attendance audit to find out why I was never in class. And to my friends for staying with me on Twitter, even though I might barrage them with educational policy tweets. To sum it all up, I won't leave this meeting later tonight feeling sad that it's all over. I'll leave here feeling satisfied with the awesome work that we were able to do, and with the knowledge that something I worked on might have made FCPS a better place for some of our students. So thank you, Fairfax County School Board. It's been a lot of fun, and keep fighting the good fight. Thank you.
Ms. Evans?
Yes, we all, I think, are going to have quite a few things to say about our time with Ben. For me, that time started with the School Health Advisory Committee. When Ben served on that, I think you started as a sophomore, didn't you? Yeah, so you served on that for a couple of years. And I just remember meeting you and knowing that you had such a passionate voice for student health. And of course, at the time, we were still working on later high school start times, and you and I worked on that together, and your voice as part of the School Health Advisory Committee was very, very valuable and very powerful. So your impact is going to be so great. And when I think of you, I think about the health and wellness. I know we've worked on a lot of things together, but I know what a passion the health and wellness piece has been for you. And don't forget, we just approved a wellness policy, a comprehensive wellness policy, and you were part of that as well, something that will go on for many, many years and hopefully decades and have a huge impact. You were always so clear-eyed and forceful in stating your views. And it was always based on your conversations, your many, many, many conversations. I guess that's what some of your absences had to do with going out to schools, you know, going out and talking to students throughout the entire county. And that, of course, was largely the basis on which you became such a forceful advocate. So I want to thank you for being so clear-eyed and for keeping us in touch with the student voice. So it's a sad day for us to be losing you. It's hard to believe it's only been a year, frankly. I mean, that it's already been a year. It's, you know, it seems like we should just see you here next month and the month after. But I will say, and I know my colleagues feel the same way, we don't have to worry about remembering Ben Press. We will hear from you again and again and again. So I just want to wish you the best of luck and thank your wonderful parents and family for being here tonight and for sharing you for the last year. So thank you.
Ms. Daranat Koufax?
Ben, when I look at you, I think what it must be like to have a 40-year-old mind trapped in the body of an 18-year-old. And what do you do with that? Well, you go to Princeton, of course. That's what you do. You are an amazing young man. It has been such a pleasure to work with you, to watch you tackle the issues that you do with energy and enthusiasm, to often hear you upstage the adults in the room with your eloquent comments. I mean, you have a gift, and it has been amazing to watch. You inspire other student leaders with your passion. I have seen that in the meetings that I attend. And it has really, as I said, been a true pleasure to work with you. You have made FCPS a better place. Thank you to Ben's parents and family who have shared him with us this year. It was wonderful getting to meet you and talk to you in the beginning of the year. And you need to be so proud of him, and I know you are. I wish you much success as you begin your college career. As the story goes, oh, the places you will go, and we know that will be you. We will watch with you, we will cheer for you, and we stay in touch so we can keep apprised of all of your great adventures that are next. So best wishes, and we care about you so much, so thank you for being part of our team this year.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Ben, I know that all 12 of us are eager to share how much you've impacted each one of our lives, as well as the countless students, the teachers, and everyone who invests so much in trying to make this a great school system, and leave there not a single doubt in your mind that the impact you have brought to our school system, not only as an amazing role model for your Madison High School classmates, but for every student and all 24 schools that you visited, to demonstrate to them that public service, commitment to really, as Ms. Hines mentioned, listening and hearing what people have to say and then imparting that to all of us, profound impact you've had. But something that I really want to focus on tonight, because it goes to the core of who you are and why I believe you're going to have just such a remarkable life in the years to come. You have always assumed positive intentions. No matter where people are on both the political spectrum, on the philosophical spectrum. Our board has 12 very passionate personalities, and you have been one of those rare individuals that has developed a relationship with every single one of us. And then you're right, you straddled an election year, so then you had to, get to meet some more new board members, and you've just done it with such grace and such care, and it's something that's going to certainly inspire me to continue in my work. It's going to carry you very far in life. Just continue to embrace that piece of who you are, and I also want to do a shout out to Harris Latif. You were an incredible role model for Ben. And you certainly were twins separated in some other, point in another time period. And you both have spoiled us as board members with your tremendous maturity and leadership. And so I just thank you, and I can't wait to hear about your journeys. And please, Harris has modeled this well. Keep us informed on how it's all going. God bless.
Mrs. Strauss?
Harris, you are wise beyond your years. And Ms. Darna Koufax, you're right. What is it like to be 40 and an 18-year-old body? It is always enlightening to listen to you, and I always think, where do you find all those words? And it goes so well together. Your advocacy, your ability to multitask and do all these things that Ms. Kilpatrick was talking about. And thank you very much for Madison not counting all of his absences. That would have been just terrible. And thank you for letting us be a part of your life. That has been, obviously we're all parents, we all care about all of this, but it is just a wonderful experience to watch and listen to somebody who is probably smarter than any of us here, and it's great. I also think that perhaps not only thanking your parents, but I know these interesting adventures and trips that you all go on very quickly. It teaches you to be adventuresome, to take risks, and at the same time of being very wise. My families do the same thing, so keep doing that. I think it's good for your son. So you will have to work hard to keep up on Facebook with your pictures, as Harris has. And Harris, we really enjoy hearing about Scotland and everything that goes on. So I look forward to voting for you someday. I think it will come between you and Harris, Congress, Senate, state, whatever. But you are the young end of the millennial generation. You are 18. For those who are given much, much is expected, and I think you understand that, and I think you relish that idea. You are a leader, and we will look to you to solve problems that we older people have created and can't seem to fix. But I think Fairfax County Public Schools has given you opportunity to shape yourself, shape your mind, shape your wisdom, and your family has certainly raised you extremely well. So go forth, solve the problems of the world, and be a leader of the millennials, because we truly need them. And thank you so much for joining us and being a part of our family and sharing your wisdom. It's great. 40-year-old wisdom is always wonderfully appreciated. Thank you.
Mrs. Schultz?
One, I've enjoyed introducing you to John Stossel. Two, I've enjoyed watching you grow from full, just soaking it all in, to every once in a while going, this doesn't seem quite right. And that is an intellectual growth that will serve you well. I hope when you go into the safe spaces of Princeton that you take that same degree of skepticism and use the brain God gave you. Don't lose that curiosity going. And most of all, the maturation that I've seen in 1 year, I mean, Mom and Dad, you must be so proud. And maybe I'm inclined, as the mother of 4 boys, to watch and see a young student on the verge of becoming a man, and you're on that path. And I know your parents couldn't be more proud, but you sort of have some surrogate adults in your life who've watched that maturation process that I think would have happened anyway, but I think that we feel a little privileged to have been a part of it and maybe nudging it along a little bit. It's been a true pleasure.
Ms. Corbett-Sanders.
So Ben, I got to know you first by your reputation. The reputation that you developed as a strong and passionate leader in the SAC, because you shared your work there at the same time as my daughter serving on it, and she would come home and tell me about you. So I was very pleased to actually be able to work with you this year, and I think it's really great. You as an Eagle Scout have lived the Boy Scout motto, which is to leave places better than when you got there. And you certainly are leaving us in a better place than when you got here. So thank you for that. And I would also like to just kind of go through your name, Ben Press, and give some words about it. Ben, he's bright, and he's left this place better. He's got endless energy, and he's not to be forgotten. He's persistent and passionate about all things FCPS and the good of all students. He's reflective, from which we all learn from your reflections. And you are empowered to do great things because of the great education you've gotten at Madison and from your parents in your world travels. You're sympathetic. You're sympathetic to what others, the paths others walk. And you're strategic. You're very strategic in how you approach people, issues, and life in general. So I, for one, am very blessed to have been able to work with you for a short period of time, and I wish you well, and let us know when you want us to door knock for you, because we're all really good at that. So bon chance, my friend, and keep in touch.
Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When I first met Ben, that was your sophomore year, but I was darn sure that you were a senior. And then I saw you again in the following year. I said, he did not graduate? How come he's back here again? That was your junior year, but I was sure that you had to have graduated year before. Never seen a sophomore so mature, articulate, and intelligent. And it's been such a joy to watch you. And last year was along with the Harris to be two of our best student representatives Fairfax County has ever produced. I mean, you along with the Harris have really put the levels, at least standards for the future student representatives, at least 3, 4, 5 notches up. And Laura and other future student representatives truly have their work cut out. I know you'll do great at Princeton, great score, but remember, my school has a better football team. So bring it on.
Thank you. Ms. Palchik.
Well, my seat partner, I will miss you. But I do want to first congratulate your parents. It's so nice to meet your sister and all your friends and principal who supported you. I came on as a new board member, not knowing how it would feel up here, and being like, oh my God. You're amazing, incredible. In the words of Dr. Garza, we will run your presidential campaign one day. So let us know. I like to knock doors. And no, really, truly, I couldn't have thought of a better person to help welcome me here. For a student to be showing me around and telling me how the board works and making me feel welcome at the meetings. And I know you do that at every school and with every group of students you meet. Princeton's very lucky. We're very sad to see you go. But we know, like with Harris, you'll be back. And I know you will be working with Laura. We're very excited to have her on board. So thank you so much. Enjoy your summer. Try to relax. And we'll see you soon.
Mr. McElvain and then Ms. Huff.
Well, Ben, you've been a wonderful student rep, as everyone has already said. And like Mr. Lateef before you, you've served at what I might call a difficult time, a historical time, and an emotional time. And as others have said, you've handled it truly with grace, and all of us are appreciative of that. And one thing that others have not pointed out yet is that you are the first graduate of our school board student leadership development program who went on to become a school board student representative. So you are proof that that program works. Whether or not it's defunct or not next year, we'll see. But we're proud that you have shown that that effort has some merit. And as you go off to college, we needed to provide you with a dorm room accessory. And I know Mr. Lateef has proudly displayed his at St. Andrews. And I know you'll be happy to display this in your dorm room at Princeton. And of course, it's a picture of all of us. So even though you chose the lesser of the two schools that you got to choose between, we're so proud of you and wish you the best at Princeton. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Huff?
So I haven't had as much time to get to know you, but I do remember meeting you on the campaign trail and being very impressed. And I was happy to sit with you early on and realizing we had some things that we definitely agreed on and wanted to work towards, and was happy to talk about those things over the last 6 months. I also realized that there are things that we don't agree on, and one decision that we clearly were not on the same page with, I've really tried to understand your point of view, and after considering it, I realized you had to handicap yourself when choosing Princeton over UVA, given all your talents. So I wish you the best of luck, and I know you'll do well.
Dr. Garza?
Well, Ben, I've spoken about my feelings about Ben before, and yes, I do believe that one of these days he'll be president of the United States, and I'll be happy to work on his campaign. I remember very clearly my first year here in the division, and Harris, Lateef, and you, I would just, everywhere I would go, I'd say, there they were. And what'd I call you? They're my posse, because everywhere I go, there they are, And since that time, I've given Ben a hard time about his absences. And, you brought it up, so I thought I'd bring him up again. But anyway, obviously it didn't hurt you too much. You're going to Princeton, so I think this is, all very good. It was just something for me to give you a hard time about. So anyway, Mr. and Mrs. Press, I just want you to know how much I could not be prouder of him if he were my own son. He's I know you're very, very proud of him. He is wise beyond his years. It's amazing. And he's kind of E.F. Hutton, every time we would have some hard, very challenging issue, Ben would speak, and it would just kind of bring it right back to kind of the essence of and the important things that we needed to be focused on. Very articulate young man, and always very, very thoughtful. So just have always been impressed with you. So you're going to be fun to watch. You're going to do great things. And again, one of these days, President of the United States. So thank you, Ben. It's been a joy to work with you.
So I think we've completely embarrassed you now, right? So thank you. We are going to move on to our next agenda item. We have 3 local businesses that we have the pleasure of honoring tonight, and want to thank them for being here. Item 2.06, Virginia School Board Association Business Honor Roll for Deloitte Consulting. I call on Mrs. Strauss.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I am delighted to be able to honor Deloitte Consulting. They're very important business partners here in Fairfax County and with Langley High School and also Falls Church. So Deloitte Consulting has been a valuable partner with Fairfax County Public Schools in several ways and for many years. In November of 2013, Deloitte helped develop and start a comprehensive mentoring program at Langley High School, targeting students often labeled the quiet middle. A student in the quiet middle is someone who could benefit from additional adult role models. He or she may be seeking academic help, benefit from an emotional connection, or be seeking a plan for the future. With additional adult engagement and guidance, these students often find their path and succeed. At Langley, Deloitte calls their mentors Saxon proteges, after the school's mascot. Of course, every school in FCPS has students who can benefit from additional support. While some people may feel Langley High School has less of a need, there's always room for 10 to 20 volunteers supporting as many of students in any of our schools, always. Deloitte's mentoring model is also a very thoughtful one. Along with considerable individual time between mentor and mentee, their program includes a cohort model where group support is provided. In Deloitte's model, now considered a best practice, and FCPS Ignite Partnerships model, the group conducts a kickoff event, holds a mid-year town hall, and survey and other mandatory town hall sessions, plus a year-end celebration. Additionally, Deloitte and the school target 11th graders. They do so to motivate and support the students as they head into the confusing and sometimes daunting college application process. In 2014, Deloitte expanded their program to Oakton High Schools, creating Cougar proteges, and they are now in negotiation to create Jaguar proteges, soon to include Falls Church High School in their partnership footprint. Thank you and congratulations, Deloitte, for making the 2016 Virginia School Boards Association Business Honor Roll, and now I will read the resolution. Whereas public schools and local businesses are an integral part of the community, and whereas many local businesses play a crucial role in supporting our schools, and whereas the economic health of our community, state, and nation depends on a strong public school system, and whereas collaboration between local public schools and local businesses strengthens schools and the business community alike by providing a well-trained and highly educated workforce. And whereas an excellent public school system is vital to the quality of life in this community and fundamental to preserving a strong democratic society now and in the future. And whereas Deloitte employees have dedicated their time, energy, and resources in support of increasing student achievement and college awareness at Langley and Oakton High School, and soon to be Falls Church High School as well, therefore be it now resolved that the Fairfax County School Board names Deloitte Consulting to the 2016 Virginia School Boards Association Business Honor Roll, showing appreciation for the firm's ongoing support of this community's public schools. Your work has aided this community in focusing on the goal of providing the best public schools we can for every child who attends them. I so move. Call for a second.
There's a second. Seconded by Ms. Corbett Sanders. All those in favor? And that is unanimous.
Thank you. And now I would like for some of our honorees to come down. Jim Trugakis, Managing Director, Daniel Yeames, Senior Consultant from Deloitte Consulting and from the FCPS, Kristen Woodward, Conflict Resolutions and Mentoring Specialist, Sonia Williams, Director of Student Services from Langley High School, and Colleen Eddy, Assistant Principal, Oakton High School. Please come for a picture, and thank you very much.
Item 2.07, Virginia School Board Association Business Honor Roll, CIRCO. I call on Ms. Hines to read the resolution.
Thank you. CIRCO Incorporated is an admired service company serving clients in federal, state, and local governments. They also serve South Lakes High School in Reston. For 7 years, CIRCO has partnered with South Lakes, providing community work experiences in real-world settings for students with disabilities. Community work experiences prepare students for the demands of future work experiences, and during any given day, there are as many as 7 South Lakes students working at CIRCO. At CIRCO, the students, including some who need close adult supervision, attain real-world skills in relation to their abilities. Some students are working independently in the mailroom, scanning and logging packages, assisting with mass mailings or delivering mail to employees throughout their 4-story building. Others work with adults restocking supplies in the kitchen and cleaning it. Jeff Leone, the student's career and transition teacher at South Lakes, praised CIRCO for being flexible and accommodating to the students. Jeff said that he's been told, whatever works best for the students works for us. Some 25 students have been impacted by CIRCO's support, which includes some 500 hours of volunteer time given by CIRCO employees. Of CIRCO, one student said, "I really like working at CIRCO. Everyone treats me really great." So thank you, CIRCO Incorporated, and congratulations on receiving the 2016 Virginia School Boards Association's Business Honor Roll. And now for the resolution. Whereas public schools and local businesses are an integral part of this community, and whereas many local businesses play a crucial role in supporting our schools, and whereas the economic health of our community, state, and nation depends on a strong public school system, and whereas collaboration between local public schools and local businesses strengthens schools and the business community alike by providing a well-trained and highly educated workforce, and whereas an excellent public school system is vital to the quality of life in this community and fundamental to preserving a strong democratic society now and in the future, and whereas CIRCO Inc. employees have dedicated their time, energy, and resources in support of students with disabilities for the past 7 years through meaningful work experiences, therefore, be it resolved that the Fairfax County School Board names CIRCO Inc. to the 2016 Virginia School Boards Association Business Honor Roll, showing appreciation for the firm's ongoing support of this community's public schools. Your work has aided this community in focusing on the goal of providing the best public schools we can for every child who attends them. I so move. Is there a second? Sorry.
Is there a second? Mrs. Schultz? All those in favor say, or raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I would like to invite Brian Kennestrick, Corporate Facilities Director of CIRCO Inc., as well as Jeffrey Leone, FCPS Career and Transition Teacher from South Lakes High School, to join us at the dais for a photo. Okay, we have one more recognition tonight. Another Virginia School Board Association Business Honor Roll for Ortho Virginia. I call on Mr. McElvain.
Ortho Virginia, formerly Commonwealth Orthopedics, has long been one of the largest orthopedic practices in Northern Virginia. For over 20 years, Ortho Virginia physicians have volunteered their time and expertise as team physicians in many FCPS high schools. Certified athletic trainers have been a mainstay in FCPS high school athletic programs since the early 1980s, and their relationships with their supervising team physicians is an important part of our collective corrective injury management efforts. Ortho Virginia physicians currently serve as team physicians for 13 FCPS high schools, supporting the day-to-day injury prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation activities of the school's athletic trainers. Over the last decade, Ortho Virginia has further supported our schools by providing continuing education opportunities to help ensure that our athletic trainers are provided the best possible care for student athletes. All of these activities demonstrate Ortho Virginia's commitment to protecting the health and safety of FCPS student athletes. Thank you, Ortho Virginia, for your many years of support, and congratulations on receiving the 2016 VSBA Business Honor Roll Award. And now for the resolution. Whereas public schools and local businesses are an integral part of this community, and whereas many local businesses play a crucial role in supporting our schools, and whereas the economic health of our community, state, and nation depends on a strong public school system, and whereas the collaboration between local public schools and local businesses strengthens schools and the business community alike by providing a well-trained and highly educated workforce, and whereas an excellent public school system is vital to the quality of life in this community and fundamental to preserving a strong democratic society now and in the future, and whereas Ortho Virginia and their physicians have volunteered their time, energy, and expertise in support of student athletes and multiple school athletic training programs for more than 2 decades, therefore be it resolved that the Fairfax County School Board names Ortho Virginia to the 2016 VSBA Business Honor Roll, showing appreciation for the firm's ongoing support of this community's public schools. Your work has aided this community in focusing on the goal of providing the best public schools we can for every child who attends them.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Schultz. All those in favor? Terrific. Mrs. Schultz, did you want to add something?
I did. I was at the Northern Virginia football dinner where we acknowledged the work of our own staff and preventing concussions and having Ortho Virginia. You know, I was sitting in all of those graduations and looking at the new Eagle Bank, formerly known as Patriot Center at George Mason, and with as many athletes as we have in Fairfax County, I mean, I feel badly that so many orthopedic doctors have had to envelop into a larger organization in order to afford continuing to provide care, but the level of standard that so many of our students get just from their practice, especially Dr. Parker, Andrew Parker from Reston, it is amazing, and I think it helps keep our students healthy. I think it helps keep our students engaged, and so the fact that we're acknowledging them, I think, is as an organization on the one hand, but as individual doctors and what they mean to the families and the students within FCPS is substantial.
So at this time, I would like to invite Dr. Mark Madden, Dr. Ben Kitteridge, and Mr. Bill Harvey, Ortho Virginia Chief Administrative Officer, to join all of us at the dais for a photo.
Item 3.01, citizen participation. Oh, before I begin, I've been remiss. I think we have another former school board member in the audience. Is Michelle Brickner here tonight? Thank you for joining us. Item 3.01, citizen participation. The next order of business is citizen participation. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks to not more than 3 minutes. The school board will not hear statements involving issues that have been scheduled for public hearings, such as capital improvement program, budget, and boundaries, or personal attacks on any person. Complaints regarding individual students or school-based employees should be directed to the appropriate school principal or other school official. Speakers should please refrain from using personally identifiable information in connection with an individual student. Speakers are expected to deliver their comments with the decorum and respect appropriate to the conduct of the public's business. During public comment, those in the audience may stand to show support. Loud conversation or outbursts from those in attendance will not be tolerated during citizen participation, please. Thank you for your cooperation. Tonight, 10 citizens have signed up to address the board along with video testimony from 1 citizen. First is Caden Ortiz, to be followed by Amanda Brewer.
Hi, my name is Caden Ortiz. I was a senior at Robinson Secondary School this year, and I am a trans man. Not feeling accepted at any school creates an unsafe environment for any student, and the main goal in any school district is to make their students feel safe. At the beginning of my time at Robinson, I did not feel accepted, and because of this, I became a danger to myself. I tried to commit suicide 9 times and was a frequent cutter. When I actually started high school, I wanted to play basketball for Robinson, but was only allowed to join the girls' team. That made me feel even more unaccepted. I'm not the only child in Fairfax County to have felt this way. I urge you, the school board, to please educate our teachers and administrative staff to know how to handle everyone and not just the majority. I understand these things take time, but please make them a prerogative. Thank you.
Amanda Brewer, to be followed by Rodrigo Velasquez. Amanda Brewer, okay. Rodrigo Velasquez, to be followed by Joseph Housel.
Can you hear me? Oh, yes you can. Dear board, I grew up and was educated in FCPS, having graduated from Robert E. Lee High School and recently graduated from George Mason University. Actually, I have a whole speech I could have said. It says pretty words around your strategic plan, which includes a caring culture. Some other pretty words that make me sound more elaborate, more sophisticated, and hopefully more valid, but I actually don't think I want to spend 3 whole minutes reading something that I genuinely feel very close to my heart, which is around the inclusion of people like me, people who identify within the LGBTQ community. And I know that's something that's to be discussed today surrounding family life education and inclusion of trans folks within the school system, particularly around facilities. Again, I don't think, and I hope that fancy words, commas placed to make me sound more sophisticated than necessary should be the impediment of you all taking action when that action is already deserving and is already warranted, because your goal is to be inclusive of all students, not just a select few. The actions that you can take now and be bold in should be actions that are inclusive of all students. Fairfax County is becoming more and more diverse, not just with people of my skin color or who come from different countries, but also in identities around sexuality, around gender, the places that we were born, the families that we were born or chosen into. None of that should be a direct impediment on our education, and we deserve the education. Like when I was in your schools, in Robert E. Lee High School, I would have loved to have family life education that taught me about the different sexual intercourses that I would be engaging in. That's life-saving information for many. Not just that, but that creates a culture of inclusion, demanding and really creating a space for everyone to be able to have dialogue. Because it's not just me that's going to be engaging in those sexual activities, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. People have sex. People have anal sex. People should talk about STDs. These are all really important pieces of information that, if not taught at a young age, can lead to unwise decisions in the future. So I hope you all take that stance, not just an education, but also an inclusion of all LGBT individuals, because it's really about time. Thank you.
Joseph Housel. Joseph Housel, to be followed by Ruby Nickdow.
Hello, or good evening. My name is Joseph Housel, and I'm a graduate from Robinson High School. I was a president for the GSA in 2010, the Gay Straight Alliance, and I'm also a proud educator for Fairfax County. And I'm here to discuss the future of LGBT students of Fairfax County, and I speak to us this evening about changing the way the county treats the part of the community. Growing up in Fairfax, my parents told me that the school is the most safest place that I can be. So why would we put our trans students in a situation that will not make them feel safe? I've befriended many students over the last decade, and I can assure you that the last thought was to cause any trouble, any mayhem for other students. A good way to continue the understanding of the LGBT community is to advance our FLE, our Family Life Education program, including topics such as STI prevention, testing, same-sex intercourse, and abusive relationships amongst gay and lesbians. Without this valuable information, impressionable young students will find misleading information from social media and the internet, and will continue to be reckless and will make bad decisions that will remain unnoticed until the consequences are dire. One of the things that I remember from my time in Robinson High School was a certain day where we were learning about the gender spectrum. The topic was briefly mentioned, and we passed it pretty much in one day, and it raised many questions that were never answered. If we could have more lessons for students to be able to identify the difference between transgender, transsexuality, and gender fluidity, we would have a more understanding and less stigma attached to these labels. I've been blessed to grow up in such a progressive county, and I want to continue to make Fairfax County the leading source of inspiration for safety, education, and mutual respect between staff, student, and family, and in doing so, having other counties follow our example. Thank you.
Ruby Nickdow, to be followed by David Aponte.
Ruby Nikado gave her slot to me. My name is Meg Kilgannon. I have 4 children, and 3 of them, one just graduated from Fairfax County Public Schools, and I have 3 left in the school system. I'm deeply concerned about the direction the family life education curriculum is taking. It seems like we're leaving out common sense and science, just like love and morality were abandoned in previous years. As parents of 4 school-age children, we've always opted out of FLE because if we were allowed to opt out and if the material's under lock and key, I thought it was probably a good idea to opt out. But more than that, sex is a private, vulnerable, special, wonderful expression of love between a man and a woman. That love is lost when our most intimate selves are discussed in group settings with PowerPoints and worksheets. As parents, we're trying to raise children who are healthy emotionally, physically, and sexually. The role of the school system should be to support parents, not to direct us. Parents are the primary educators of their children, and we loan them to you for instruction in academics, not in sexuality. When the debate raged last spring and summer, it was clear that parental input was not important to the school board. In fact, the process of changing FLE has been hijacked. A concerted effort's been made by a vocal minority, while unassuming tax-paying parents are ignored and shut out. In order to comment, I reviewed the existing FLE lessons because what parent of 4 children doesn't want to spend her spare time reviewing sex ed lessons? And sure enough, my instinct to opt out was confirmed. In fact, the whole program was even worse than I'd imagined. Others before me have exposed the inappropriate material that's covered in the class into age groups that are too young to hear these things, and I'm going to offer another perspective on the material. For example, in 8th grade human growth and development, there are 11 vocabulary words associated with male reproduction and only 5 for female reproduction. Thank you for reinforcing the message that men are more important than women and that men's sexual function is more important than women's. To 14-year-old girls. The formation of semen is explained in excruciating detail, while 8th grade girls are never told how to handle or define heavy menses or when cramping might need the attention of a doctor. 8th grade girls aren't even told about progesterone, a hormone that's critical to women's health. I guess they're too overwhelmed with their 5 vocabulary words to be able to handle more material. This kind of misogyny pervades the entire curriculum. We've come a long way, baby. Unless you're in Fairfax County FLE, in those classes, it's still a man's world. As a school board with 9 women on it, you should be ashamed. You're offering this video material for approval tonight is incomplete and possibly disingenuous. What are you hiding? Release the lesson plans for the new curriculum so that parents have a chance to review it before the school year begins.
Thank you. David Aponte, to be followed by George Albert.
Good evening, and thank you to the Fairfax County School Board for allowing me the time to speak tonight. My name is David Aponte, and I am a co-chair of the Northern Virginia chapter of the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, or GLSEN. In this role, I have worked with K-12 students from Northern Virginia, especially Fairfax County, for over 8 years now. I originally started with GLSEN as a 10th grader. With that in mind, I'd like to speak about the recommendations of the Family Life Education Curriculum Advisory Committee, or FLECAC, from both last year and this year. Last year, the committee made several recommendations concerning LGBT students that were a step in the right direction of positively including sexual orientation and gender identity and expression in family life education classes. GLSEN's 2013 Virginia State Snapshot, released as part of their biennial National School Climate Survey, found that only 17% of Virginia students were taught positive representations of LGBT people, history, and events. Simply excluding representations of LGBT people in family life education is not a solution. I was encouraged when the board voted to accept these recommendations about a year ago. I would like to thank those board members who voted in support and offer my knowledge and support to those who did not. Attending each of these meetings from last year to this year, I understand that the board and the community have reasonable concerns about the changes to family life education, and I would like to remind everyone that LGBT students are paying close attention to these changes as well. Beyond simply citing statistics, I cannot tell you how many students have told me that they have experienced victimization because their peers, teachers, and administrators do not understand them. While many people accuse the LGBT community and its allies of politicizing issues and forcing a political agenda, these same people tend to forget that this is a matter of safety for this community. As the recent tragedy in Orlando reminds us, the LGBT community is far from safe. For so many, the ability to understand others starts in the classroom and is fostered at home. Numerous studies from nonprofits, government agencies, and universities have shown that safer school environments for everyone leads to higher self-esteem, higher test scores, increased likelihood for higher education, and higher quality of life for all students. The impact that inclusive curricula has on students cannot be ignored. School communities function better when its members understand and support each other. As for this year's recommendations that include dating violence, remember that this impacts the LGBT community and the whole community as well. The Urban Institute in 2013 found that 29% of heterosexual youth reported physical abuse, while this number rises to 42.8% for LGBT youth. This is a community that needs role models and needs representation in the classroom. I strongly support the FLECAC recommendations from both last year and this year, and I ask that the school board does the same. The LGBT youth of this county simply cannot continue to wait while more suffer at the hands of ignorance and inaction. Thank you once again for allowing me the time to speak at this meeting.
Thank you. George Alber. George Alber, to be followed by Robert Rigby.
Hi, good evening. My name is George Alber. As a member of the Fairfax County NAACP Executive Committee, I wish to speak in support of the resolution to change the name of Jeb Stuart High School. But first, I want to say thank you. In his book, Profiles in Courage, boy, talk about profiles in courage. I'm proud to stand with my brothers and sisters tonight. Thank you. In his book, Profiles in Courage, John F. Kennedy set a high bar for our elected officials. Democracy, JFK wrote, puts its faith in the people, that the people will not simply elect men and women who represent their views ably and faithfully, but will also elect men and women who will exercise their conscientious judgment. Faith that the people will not condemn those whose devotion to principle leads them to unpopular courses, but will reward courage, respect honor, and ultimately recognize right. At the last meeting, I asked you to show moral leadership and act regarding changing the name of Jeb Stuart High School, to exercise your conscientious judgment and recognize right. Thank you for starting that with this resolution. And a special thanks to Sandy Evans for not being afraid to lead this difficult discussion. I applaud you. The NAACP supports changing the name of Jeb Stuart High School to better reflect the diversity and inclusion of our public schools. As our president, Shirley Jenwright, who's with us tonight, has said, we have a duty to our community to not carry forward the relics of hate from a century ago into the future. Our public institutions, Shirley reminded me, must reflect our current values and principles. Now, the decision to change the name of Jeb Stuart, as I've said before, is not a financial decision. It is a moral question about justice, equality, human rights, and reconciliation. However, having said that, I am compelled to talk about the cost of change because it is the argument most frequently cited for not changing the name and because it is widely misunderstood. First, the current estimate is about $678,000, not the $1 million or the $2 million that I often hear. Next, it is important to understand that this estimate includes approximately $300,000 to $400,000 for uniforms, equipment, and other items. Some of these are due for replacement in 2017, some in later years. Some are even overdue. I'm not an accountant, but I would argue that if these costs have to be incurred anyway, maybe they shouldn't be included in a financial analysis of alternatives. So I would, your resolution says it best. We regard the name as inappropriate for Fairfax County Public School and not reflective of our diverse community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alber. Next is Robert Rigby, to be followed by Thomas Penland.
I yield my time to Mr. Ted Belkoff.
Thank you, Mr. Rigby. I am Ted Velkoff, and I'm here to speak to item 4.02, which is the renewal of the superintendent's contract. School board members, by your actions tonight, you will be rehiring the best superintendent in the United States of America and the best superintendent in the history of FCPS. I have said on many occasions that after marriage and family, the most important thing I will ever do in my life, I have done, which was to be a member of this board and 12 people that brought Dr. Karen Garza to Fairfax County. To the four of you who are, have joined in January, I hope that you will look back in 4 years with similar pride on your action that you take tonight. To Dr. Garza, 3 years ago when we were looking to find someone for your position, I knew that this board, the school board, did its best work with someone who was highly respected and impartial in their treatment of board members. The second thing I knew was that there was a rift between FCPS and members of the community, and I would say most notably over the issue of student discipline, and that we needed a leader who could convey compassion and an open mind in dealing with those issues. And finally, the third thing that I felt was that national education policy had failed and was infecting FCPS in a negative way. And we very much needed a visionary and courageous leader who could turn the course in Fairfax County and also in the nation. After knowing you for about 5 minutes, I was convinced that you had the qualities to be that leader. And I will say that you have exceeded my expectations. I'm very thankful for the renaissance in public education that you have initiated here at Fairfax County, and I'm grateful that you are going to continue and build on that work in the coming decade. Thank you.
Thomas Penland, to be followed by Reed Voss.
Good evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to the board this evening. I'm Thomas Penland. I am a very much supporter of the pyramid. Jeb Stewart, we've lived in the area 33 years. I've had 2 students that have attended. I've been the PTSA president, band booster president. We've worked to bring money to the school through Tag Day, evolving things that Thurgood Marshall Scholarship, and you name it. Those are our goals, and we support the school tremendously. That said, there's a feeling within the community that that the school board must have a personal agenda. We're not allowed to speak, we're not allowed to talk as it relates to this motion that's being looked forward at this evening. And what we're talking about there is we haven't had an opportunity to put any information in other than some factual, and you're going to vote to go forward with a name change. Community engagement. Community engagement's consisted of surveys at the school. 60% of the students says we don't need a name change. Surveys out in the community, 35% supported it, or the rest of the people. The majority should rule. Meeting which took place on Monday, May 23rd, I was there. Went over there figuring we're going to be talking about it, see how this is going to work and where we can engage. We were there to come up with a new name. This was amazing. How did we get this far along? I've been in the government for years. How can you fast track something that quickly and not give people an opportunity? So, renaming work group, why? We don't have a majority rule. We seem to be working off the fact that it's an agenda item that's going to just go through. Few records exist which have been brought up. We're well aware of the records. We've tried to provide you documentation which you can look at that show where we think there's adequate documentation to make decisions on what people that came ahead of us, especially the school board, because it's important. We also, things such allegations that the school property, the 17 acres, that it was taken away from black families. We went into the court records and it wasn't. It was purchased by the school board and for the right reasons, and that's the way it should have been done. So those allegations that are out there, we're having trouble. We think it's immoral. We think we're being lied to a little bit and not given an opportunity to participate in this event. And that's where we're primarily at right now. As far as school and the name, there was a phenomenal video that was up. That video contained everything about Jeb Stewart. It was removed yesterday. Surprising, now the black hole is there. The students that had an issue with it, those 2 videos went down yesterday too. They're no longer there to be seen. So with that said, sure, there's a cost associated. There's a deficit, shortfalls, a lot of money, whether it's $600,000, $680, or $640. Every penny should be spent to educate our students. That's what we worked as parents to make sure that money was available and should be used within the system. We don't think that the ideal that we're going to change a name is going to change, and we wish the school board would realize that you're here to educate the students. Will this make a difference? I'm not sure that difference will affect us, but we'd like to move forward with being involved with the process. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Reed Voss.
Good evening, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman Hines, for the opportunity to speak. Ms. Strauss and Mr. Moon, you may not remember, you're the 2 stalwarts that remain from my tenure as the student representative 17 years ago. And I wish that I was here today to celebrate some of our accomplishments. But instead, I come to defend my high school and to debunk some myths and accusations. I was the class president at Jeb Stuart in 1999. I was also the only student representative to the school board ever to represent from Jeb Stuart. And I coached at Jeb Stuart for 7 years after I graduated. And I also hosted a 40-year anniversary of Jeb Stuart in which I recollected all of the history of both the man and the school. So I find myself adequately prepared to address the culture and the school. Having spent dozens of evenings in this room, and Mr. Press said he's 250 hours, that's a gross understatement, as you all know, because there's a lot of meetings and a lot of 11 o'clock. I'm certain your priorities are endless and you could serve the students on better issues. Nevertheless, Ms. Evans has unfortunately succumbed to a small handful of impressionable students and a minority view expressed in her survey. The resolution you're looking at tonight is fraught with error, but she makes two assertions that are especially egregious. First, she demands that Jeb Stuart is someone who worked as a puppet to promote slavery. He was not. He was a war hero. He dedicated his entire life and family to war. He was a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. He served in the Union Army and only switched to the Confederate Army when he was asked to fight his home Commonwealth. Secondly, and deeply troubling, is the assertion that your predecessors conspired to block desegregation and named our school as a deliberate act of callous defiance. That is totally untrue. McLean High School was named in 1955 after Brown versus Board, Edison, 1962, Madison, 1959, the same year as Jeb Stuart, so I'm not seeing any of this callous defiance. In fact, in 1956, the Fairfax County School Board proposed a desegregation plan voluntary to the state, the Commonwealth, and it was rejected. So please don't demonize those public servants with any assumptions. I would like to elaborate on the cost. I'd like to elaborate on changing history. I'd like to elaborate on the public engagement or lack thereof, but I want to devote the rest of my time to talking about Stuart. Students at Jeb Stuart are excellent, and they should be celebrated. And there's nobody in this auditorium that has ever walked the halls of Jeb Stuart and didn't see acceptance and friendship. So you're fixing a problem that frankly does not exist at our school. In 2000, we were interviewed for 5 months by the National Geographic magazine in which they celebrated our diversity and the ability for so many cultures to get along. And most importantly, I'm likely the only one in the room that spent hundreds or thousands of hours in the halls of Jeb Stuart. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, there is less hatred and less racism in the halls of Jeb Stuart than anywhere else I have ever been. Please leave our school alone.
That concludes the live speakers that we have. We have a video from Nicholas Pisciata, which we'll show right now.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Pichota and I'm a 2012 graduate of Jeb Stuart High School. I am opposed to changing the name of Jeb Stuart High School for two reasons. Changing the name of the school does not address the real problems and the needs of the school. Stuart has been noted as one of the most diverse high schools in the nation. When I graduated in 2012, 70% of the students were on free or reduced lunch. If we should be having any conversation, it should be on how to recover from the mass exodus of quality teachers and how to provide the resources for the less fortunate kids who attend the school and give them a better shot at connecting to mentors and achieving their goals. Spending the $700,000 needed to change the name wastes nearly $1 million of taxpayer funding without addressing the real needs of the school, effectively doing something without actually doing anything. It is irresponsible to suggest that changing the name without providing monetary resources that the school and our kids need is okay. That money could go better towards classroom technology in the STEM fields, teacher bonuses, after-school programs, field trip subsidies, school supplies, counselors, and vocational programs, all of which help the school more than a name change ever could. Secondly, the motion to change the name is a reckless attempt to revise our nation's past and deprives the students from this area of the educational opportunity to see how far the nation has advanced. As I mentioned, Stuart is one of the most diverse high schools in the nation and is a magical place. It is one of the only places that no matter what color, ethnicity, family background you come from, you can walk down the halls of this great school and be engaged in a global experience that builds an individual's character. The irony is in the contrast between General Jeb Stuart and the sheer diversity of the school. Our school is a symbol of diversity and acceptance, and that shouldn't be stolen from the kids who accept each other each day above the racism in our nation. Our school is something to be proud of, which we are and I am. It should be promoted, not shied away from. The name and the history of the very land that this school is built on should be instead used as an educational opportunity to help kids understand the cultural, economic, political, and historical importance of the Civil War and how our nation has evolved, the basis of modern political ideologies and the foundation of our government as well. Changing the name and erasing the opportunities is a disservice to our kids. In summary, the conversation we should be having is how to provide more resources to Jeb Stuart High School so that one of the most diverse high schools in America can provide the appropriate resources and opportunities to kids of all backgrounds so that they may also pursue the American dream. Changing the name of the school has zero real positive influence on the school and robs our kids from the potential opportunities to succeed. Thank you.
Item 3.02, student representative, Mr. Press is all talked out? That's remarkable. Okay, action items. 4.01, confirmation of action taken in closed meeting. This is the portion of the meeting where the board will confirm any action regarding issues that were discussed in the closed meeting earlier. These issues may include action taken regarding student disciplinary matters. Board members have discussed each individual case and at this time will make several motions to confirm the recommended action. Do I have first a motion from Ms. Corbett Sanders?
Who's on? Okay. I move that the school board authorize division council to resolve the personnel matter discussed in closed session according to the discussion.
Second, seconded by Mr. Moon. All those in favor? Derenak Kofax, McElvain, Huff, Strauss, Corbett Sanders, Evans, Hines, Moon, Schultz. Those opposed, those abstaining. Abstaining are McLaughlin and Palchik. That motion passes. Next, I have a motion from Mrs. Schultz.
And your second. Yeah. We're going to need you to reread the motion. You didn't read the right motion.
I have two, sorry. I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who possessed and used an illegal drug on school property and who also possessed a knife and drug paraphernalia at the school, and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Seconded by Ms. Corbett Sanders. All those in favor? Derenak Kofax, McElvain, Huff, Strauss, Corbett Sanders, Evans, Hines, Moon, Schultz. Those opposed and those abstaining, McLaughlin and Palchik abstaining. That motion passes. Next, I have a motion from Ms. Strauss.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who possessed an illegal drug paraphernalia, and a knife at school, and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Corbett Sanders. All those in favor? Derenak Kofax, McElvain, Huff, Strauss, Corbett Sanders, Evans, Hines, Moon, and Palchik. Those opposed? Those abstaining? McLaughlin and Schultz. Next, I have a motion from Ms. Derenak Kofax.
I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who possessed and used an illegal drug at school, and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Strauss. All those in favor? Derenak Kofax, McElvain, Huff, Strauss, Corbett Sanders, Evans, Hines, Moon, Schultz, and Palchik. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Ms. McLaughlin. The motion passes. Next, I have a motion from Mr. Schultz.
I move to grant the school reassignment appeal of a student who possessed and used an illegal drug at school and to overturn the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. McLaughlin. All those in favor? Raise your hand. Ms. Huff, Corbett Sanders, Evans, McLaughlin, Schultz, and Palchik. Those opposed? Derenak Kofax, McElvain, Strauss, Hines, and Moon. That motion carries. I next have a motion from Ms. Huff.
I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who attempted to extort fellow students at school and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Palchik. All those in favor? Okay, that is unanimous. All right. We have been advised by our clerk to do motion M1 again.
Authorize Division Council to take the steps discussed in closed session regarding pending personnel matter.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Moon. All those in favor? Derenak Kofax, McElvain, Huff, Strauss, Corbett Sanders, Evans, Hines, Moon, and Schultz. Those opposed, those abstaining, McLaughlin and Palchik. Okay, thank you. All right. Item 4.02, consideration of the extension to the superintendent's contract. I will hand the gavel to Ms. Evans.
Item 4.02, consideration of extension of superintendent contract. I call on Ms. Hines for the motion.
Thank you. I move that the school board renew its contract with Dr. Karen Garza as superintendent and to authorize the chairman to execute the amended contract as detailed in the agenda item.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Moon. Is there, would you like to speak to your motion, Ms. Hines?
Yes, thank you very much. This is something I'm very, 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 very glad to be able to move tonight. And I think what Mr. Belkoff had to say about how lucky we all felt 3 years ago to draw you here from way down in Texas to come join us in FCPS and to help lead us. I feel the same way I did 3 years ago. I think we've been extremely lucky to get you here and to keep you and to have your leadership. I feel very strongly that you have led this school system, and you, as you know, through some difficult financial times, and you've done that with courage and wisdom. I also want to thank you for your vision in leading FCPS. I'm sorry, that FCPS has been leading the state and actually the nation in some very important conversations about education policy. And we have some critical changes and challenges going on right now in the country when it comes to K-12 education. And you are our voice, and you are helping to make changes and make strides around the state and the nation, and that's a position that I feel Fairfax County Public Schools should always be in. So I'm proud to have you here, and I'm so very grateful that you're willing to spend some more time with us, that we will get to have you here longer to continue the important work that we have begun under your leadership.
Mr. Moon, would you like to speak to your second?
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Just briefly, as the former chairman of the school board that hired Dr. Garza 3 years ago, as the first female superintendent in 150 years of the history of Fairfax County Public School System, I'm happy to second this motion to extend their contract. I have worked with several different superintendents on the school board, and I can confidently tell you that Dr. Garza has not only the right skill set, but also the temperament to continue leading our school district for its almost 190,000 students to receive the very best education possible. I appreciate her dedication, professionalism, guidance provided to the school board, and willingness to work with all stakeholders. And thank you for agreeing to stay at least for another 4 years. Thank you.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Dr. Garza, I join my colleagues with great enthusiasm for the renewal and extension of your contract. When I was an advocate in the community, I helped join with our parent and teacher organizations to create the Fairfax Education Coalition. And it was specifically created back in 2009 because we had concerns that the leadership of the school system was not as accountable, as transparent, and as engaged with the community as we needed and deserved in Fairfax County. And several years later, I decided that beyond being an advocate, I hope to join the board and really help shape the leadership of the school system going forward. And as has been touched upon tonight, we are deeply, deeply fortunate in this great county of over 1 million people, the 10th largest school system in the country, 3rd largest employer in the Commonwealth of Virginia, that we have been able to not only bring you here 3 years ago, but to continue building on a relationship with you and your amazing leadership team, that you will want to continue with us and build on this incredible work that you've done, not just the Portrait of a Graduate, but as the mother of 3 boys coming through the system under your leadership. I will say that it's the caring culture that you've been so deeply committed to, moving us toward a responsive culture to our families. It's palpable, it's remarkable, and it continues to, in my mind, speak to the greatness of what Fairfax County is. So thank you for your leadership, and I look forward to our continued work together.
Mrs. Strauss?
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Garza, for agreeing to continue on and sign up again. I think Ted Velkoff said a lot when we first found you and got to know you. We very quickly decided that you were the leader that we needed. And as I have said, we are looking at to turn a corner in education in the nation and certainly here in Fairfax County, and you are leading the way. The Portrait of the Graduate, our new strategic plan, Ms. McLaughlin talked about a caring culture, the tremendous effort with our workforce. You've led us through very difficult budget times. We made hard decisions, but you kept us together. And we are now going down a different path. And it has been an exciting time, and I've said before, you lead with the heart of a teacher. And that makes such a difference because you know what it's like in the classroom when you speak with our educators and our educational leadership and develop leadership within our schools. You very quickly understand the problem, you are a quick study, and you are able to come up and help us to find the solution that makes things better for our children, for our teachers, and our educators in our schools, because that's where teaching and learning occurs. So I am delighted that you are willing to sign up for another term. And I know that many in our county are grateful and are really very excited to keep you away from Texas just a little longer. I know the yellow rose of Texas, and it pulls on you. But you are a significant leader, and as has been stated, not only have you helped turn around Fairfax County Public Schools, but you are turning the state around as well. And you are now chairman of Ed 21, so you are helping to turn the nation down a better road for all the children in Fairfax County and in the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Schultz.
So I mean, we can have a Karen Fest, but I think it's very important to explain. I feel like we're all talking about something that we know about, but other people are going to watch this. So when we hire a superintendent in Virginia, the maximum contract time that we can offer is 4 years under Virginia Code. If you are going to extend your superintendent's contract, you don't wait until the end of the 4th year and then say, surprise, we're not extending your contract. You do it a year in advance. So Dr. Garza's contract isn't at an end and we're extending it. It has another year, but this is how you work with executive compensation. when you have a board and somebody's contract that you want to extend. So there have been a whole series of meetings behind closed doors that are necessary to protect the negotiation process in extending a contract, just like there would be with any contract. Any contract that we enter into, you have a closed phase and you have an open phase where after the fact it becomes a public contract, and her contract will become a public document. But just for clarity, we're all discussing stuff here at the table that we've been discussing for some period of time over a series of closed meetings where the board comes to a decision to extend or not extend. And not extending the contract basically is saying, it's probably about time that you go get another job because you got 1 year left. So those are the two options before the board. The board does not want to tell Dr. Garza to go get another job, so we're going to extend her contract. The maximum we can extend her contract is for 4 more years. So you actually terminate the last year of the existing contract and you add, under Virginia Code, the most number of years that you can add if you want to, 4 years. That's what's happened, and that's what's going on here. There's been a lot of stuff going on. With that being said, Dr. Garza, we're obviously going to be extending your contract and thrilled for it. Personally, I hope that the investment that we make of time and building a relationship with you continues to improve, and that we have the opportunity to reap the benefits of this contract going forward, and relive the good parts of when you first came here and leave the exhaustion and the upward learning curve. Hopefully that's flattened and we have some good days ahead of us.
Mrs. Corbett-Sanders.
First, thank you, Elizabeth, for explaining to the public the whole process that we've been through. I think that's probably very instrumental. It was helpful when I first came on the board to better understand it, so I appreciate that. I want to reflect back on when we had the Board of Supervisors adopt our budget this year. And at that time, Chairman Bulova said that the budget was a booster shot that we needed to make as an investment into our school system. And I actually think that that was a good description of where we were at in the budget process and where the school system is. But I also think that we need to reflect on the energy drink that we received when we had the benefit of Dr. Garza joining us, because it was a renewed energy and invigoration of engaging the community at a different level and with different approaches to listening to the community that I think we should embrace and really thank you for. And going forward, I just want to, as we extend this contract, just express my appreciation and the appreciation of my fellow board members for your leadership and commitment to our students and our staff, and the tireless way in which you offer your time, your energy, your insights, and always remind us of the purpose, which is the focus on the whole child and family to ensure student success. So thank you, and I look forward to continued working with you.
Mr. McElveen.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. I know my colleagues and I take great pride in this moment. Dr. Garza, reflecting on what Ted had to say and what others have said, some of us had to go a long way to get to you in the first place. And by a long way, I mean past Billy the Kid's grave.
Long way.
among other historic landmarks. And that turned into one of the most meaningful trips of my life, not just because I was in the car with Elizabeth Schultz for 5 hours, driving at 100 miles an hour to get to you, but because we were able to bring you back here with us. And I know all of us agree that you are a truly transformative leader. And just reading off the various accomplishments we've made together: eliminating early release Mondays, implementing later high school start times, reforming our student discipline system, strengthening our internal auditing capabilities, creating high school ESOL academies for intensive English language learning, creating the portrait of a graduate, creating the strategic plan, undertaking a system reorganization that saved us money, creating healthier food for our kids. You, Dr. Garza, I think all of us would agree, you have truly proved the adage, don't mess with Texas.
Mr. Press.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. At least for the next 2 hours and 40 minutes, I'm charged to advocate on behalf of 188,000 Fairfax County students, so I will do that. The best thing I think I can advocate for is for 4 more years with Karen Garza. I feel like starting that chant you hear at presidential re-elections, 4 more years. My voice might not change anybody's vote up here, but I want to add it to the chorus of people who are so enthusiastic about you staying with our system. You have been absolutely, as Mr. McElveen said, a transformative leader. Things that we thought couldn't be done. Things that we had talked for 20 plus years about. And when you came here, we put the pedal to the metal and we got it done. So with that, I'm just so thrilled that this board is poised to retain you for another 4 years. And I look forward to seeing where Fairfax County goes under your leadership.
Thank you, Ms. Darnett Kovacs.
Thank you. It is with great pleasure that I support the renewal of the contract for Dr. Karen Garza. Dr. Garza, it has been a pleasure to work with you and your leadership team over these past 3 years. I told her was it yesterday or the day before? It came up on my Facebook page, 3 years exactly, so 2 days ago. The anniversary of when she came to us, when she started. So I do appreciate your hard work, your dedication, your ability to work through challenging times and move forward in a positive way. Working with you as the chair last year, I found you to be a courageous and passionate when it comes to some of the most difficult decisions we have to make. Mr. McElveen stated the many, many areas of progress we have made. I truly appreciate what we have done with the Portrait of a Graduate, the development of our strategic plan, and the progress in our most challenging schools, and that has been quite an undertaking. I am very happy to support the extension of your contract, and I look forward to many, many more years of working together with you and your team.
And I would just say I will agree with and echo all of the praise for our wonderful superintendent. We are very lucky to have Dr. Garza with us, leading with us, working with us, and leading our school system. The positive impact Dr. Garza has had in the past 3 years has simply been tremendous on so many fronts. Mr. McElveen started the list. It's a very long list with Portrait of the Graduate and then the strategic plan and, of course, the health and wellness pieces. I couldn't have imagined a leader better to take us into the issue of later start times. Something, as Mr. Press mentioned, has been with us for 20 years. And just a stellar team that you've put together in your time here. So I'm very pleased to enthusiastically support this. And you have led with vision and courage and innovation, and I want to thank you for that, and very enthusiastically support the extension of your contract. Dr. Garza, would you like to have any words, or are you? Okay, and all right, Ms. Palchik.
Sorry, I'll be brief.
Yes.
I was just sitting here and remembering being here as a student, as an intern with Channel 21, taping the school board meetings, and realizing we have an amazing county, and then as a teacher, as a graduate, knowing that we needed a new vision for where we were going to go, where we were headed for our kids and for their education and their 21st century learning. So it's been such a breath of fresh air. I know I've only served on this board for 6 months, but to see you from the audience as a graduate and as someone who really admires the fact that you are able to work with us and help lead us, the 10th largest county, into the future. But not just us. You've done so much to work with our state and at the federal level to make sure that we get people on board, because it's time to do more and help our public schools be everything they can be. So thank you so much, and I'm very, very excited to support this.
All right, I'm going to take the vote now. All in favor, raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Thank you. The motion passes. Dr. Garza, would you
Yes,
like
and I'll be brief. You all know I don't like to talk about myself. I don't like the attention to be on me, but I really do love talking about the work, and I really do love FCPS. So I just want you all to know how very, very grateful I am to this board, to Velkoff, to the previous board, because you took a chance on me, that Texas girl, and brought me here. And I need to start saying, what are you talking about, Texas? Never heard of them. But anyway, I want to also thank you for your continued support and absolutely this vote of confidence, not because of me necessarily, because I think it's very, very important to the future work and the work we have ahead, that our community sees that we're united in that work. So I just want you to know how much that means to me. As I said before, I'm so proud of this great school system, and oh my goodness, I think we're the best in the United States, and my goodness, I think the possibilities are endless for what else we can do in this school system. And I am proud not only of our schools and what's going on in our schools, but also the ability to really shape and lead the work at the state and national level and really be a leader, because this is an important time in public schools. I do want to thank the entire FCPS school community. This work isn't done alone. All of us certainly working closely together, but we rely upon so many others throughout the system. Certainly our wonderful employees who are phenomenal in every way, our very talented students and the families and the parents that support the great work in our schools, our school principals who I think there are none better than the ones we have right here in FCPS, and then this great leadership team. Not all of them are here tonight, but there's a good number of them here, and I just want you to know I think they're the best in the United States. The level of dedication, professionalism, and care for our students, and they're just so bright. And so I do appreciate the comments that were made about the leadership team, because this is all of us really working together. So thank you for acknowledging them. Again, I'm just very grateful for your continued support. I look forward to working with each and every one of you to continue the great work that's going on in FCPS. And again, just want to thank you. And Mr. McElveen, is it okay for me now to take off the weekend? We have gotten a lot done, but there's more good stuff ahead. So thank you very much tonight. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And, yes, after this, take the rest of the week off, okay? Item 4.02, item 4.03, Family Life Education Curriculum Advisory Committee recommendations. I call on Ms. Strauss for the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I move that the school board approve recommended media, print, and lesson objectives as detailed in the agenda item and as reviewed and recommended by the Family Life Education Curriculum Advisory Committee, presented as new business on May 26, 2016.
Is a second?
I second.
Seconded by Ms. Evans. Ms. Strauss, would you like to
Yes,
speak to your motion?
so that people are clear on exactly what we're voting on tonight. The recommendation is to adopt a new media material for 9th graders that follows the physical development of a child from conception through birth. The other item that we are voting on tonight is new material for 10th and 11th grade students to support the learning objective. Students will examine teen dating relationships, teen dating violence, sexual assault, and human sex trafficking and strategies for prevention and help. And lastly, we're voting to adopt print material to help girls with developmental delay, young women who may be mentally retarded, learn to take care of their feminine hygiene needs. Those are the only things we are voting on tonight, and I urge us to support it. Thank you.
Ms. Evans?
Yes, just briefly, thank you, Mrs. Strauss, for outlining what we are voting on today. I support the changes in family life education, which we don't have very many this year. We have the few that you mentioned. I did want to just stress that we are not today voting on any new lessons on the topics of sexual orientation or gender identity. We did have, we had votes last year on some issues, and but what we're doing tonight does not change that. So I do support what we're doing.
Ms. Schultz?
So I'm glad that Ms. Evans brought up the fact that we don't have before us any changes of what's coming in the coming curriculum, because that's exactly the problem that I find myself in, is May, I don't know, 7th of a year ago, so we're basically 15 months ago, this board passed a policy, and we said that we would know what was coming by last September. It is now an entire academic year later, and there is no material in front of us tonight. And I have parents, and I have educators, and I have administrators of schools, all the way up to the principal level, asking me what's happening this coming curriculum year in terms of family life. A knockdown dragout had to happen in the family life education curriculum meeting to even get modest changes to a video on sexual violence and assault that we're going to be showing to 9th and 10th graders. 9th and 10th graders. I'm the only one here who has a 9th or 10th grader sitting at this table. And the notion that it becomes a parent's responsibility to opt out children, otherwise they're going to be exposed to a video that the student representative to the Family Life Education Curriculum Committee, the student representative, was so affected by it, she said, this is not something that is appropriate for somebody of my age, of high school age. So we're not even listening to the students at this point without having to go through all kinds of machinations. And I don't think it's fair to the members of any community, any parent group, any stakeholder, and we recognized 3 business partners tonight who are investing time, energy, employees, money, and support of our schools. I don't think it's fair to them to leave them hanging in a situation where we're 15 months later and I don't have a single page of the family life curriculum that this board voted on in May of 2015 to show parents. I have parents who are asking me, should I pull my children out of school? Can I trust the public education system? People who feel very strongly about public education, but feel more strongly about parental rights, feel more strongly about the privacy and the dignity of their children in very intimate places within our schools' buildings. I have no answers. I have no answers for anyone. I don't have them for a pastor, a youth minister. I don't have them for a single mother with many children. I don't have them for parents who have had successful education experiences for all their older children and they're just trying to get across the finish line with their last child. And we had 2,115 fewer children in our school system this academic year than we expected. And I'm worried that if we continue to not be clear and transparent and forthwith and waiting until a couple of weeks before school starts and unveiling in August when everybody's on vacation what's going to be in the curriculum is extremely problematic to me. So I appreciate the work that the committee did, but to leave parents languishing, to leave educators who don't want to be surprised at the material that is going to be expected that they teach or that they administer as faculty and principals and assistant principals in our buildings puts them in a very difficult position. And I don't think it's fair that we are doing that to our employees, because remember, this doesn't only affect students in the end. Our non-discrimination policy also affects employees. But when we're talking here about curriculum, and I can't reveal the curriculum that the teachers are going to teach, that the students are going to learn, that families need to evaluate on whether or not they have the ability to opt out. And opting out means also, what's the alternate curriculum? I'm just asking that question now, because my students were sent to the library for the alternate curriculum when I opted them out. That's not an alternate curriculum. So I think not only should we be able to reveal and compare what has been in the curriculum in the past and now what is going to be in the curriculum, but what's the alternative for parents who have a conscientious objection to this material and choose to opt them out? Are we going to be providing a robust curriculum alternative for them? I don't have it, and tomorrow is July 1st, so I can't support this.
Mr. Moon? Mr. Moon? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be supporting the motion, and I would like to thank Mr. Strauss for clarifying what you are voting on. That, if you can all go back to the agenda item, what you are voting on is a recommendation from a FCPS, where our school board member appointees serve, and they made a recommendation. It's almost a unanimous recommendation. There was only one item, one video where it was less than unanimous vote by those who are serving on FCPS. It is to approve the recommended media, print, and lesson objectives as a detail in the agenda item. And we're not, as you pointed out, we're not today voting on anything other than what is coming out of FCPS, and I support that. And as far as dating violence is concerned, recently my state delegate has brought to my attention to take a look at House Bill, which passed earlier this year, House Bill 659. And if you go take a look at the House Bill 659, it talks about high school family life education curriculum offered by a local school district incorporating elements of effective and evidence-based programs on prevention of dating violence, domestic abuse, sexual harassment, and sexual violence. This is exactly what you are doing through this media and other curriculum materials. And thank you.
Ms. Corbett-Sanders.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify a little bit about what we are voting on. We are voting on, as Mr. Moon stated, and so did the sponsors of this resolution, recommendations for lessons and objectives, media and lessons excerpts. These recommendations were brought to us by the Family Life Education Advisory Group. On that group are representatives appointed by each of the members at this table. And I've spent a lot of time talking to my appointee, Sherry Dana, about the work of this group, because it was obviously one of great interest by many of the constituents. And I then received this report, and I was pleased to see that it had, each of the recommendations, with the exception of one, had unanimous support from all 12 members of that group. And the only one which didn't have unanimous support was the one regarding language to be inserted. It wasn't regarding the media, it wasn't regarding a video, it was regarding language which would address the lesson plan as when they presented the new media. And so even there, it was pretty close to full support of the committee. The other thing that I want to encourage people to understand is that this is one piece of a broader program, and so I do look forward to having conversations about other parts of the curriculum, but this is only about the recommendations, and I welcome those recommendations because unfortunately, and as a mother of daughters, I realize that dating violence is an issue in our society, that human trafficking is an issue in our society, and anything we can do to educate our children about these challenges before they leave our homes. This is a partnership between parents and the school system. And as a parent, I would encourage you to have conversations with your children about these issues. And as a parent, I would encourage you to take the time to take a look at the curriculum. And if you don't feel comfortable with it, exercise your right as a parent to opt out. But please recognize that these are real issues that our children are seeing in the press. They're seeing their friends affected by it. They're seeing relatives affected by it. And so this is just something that we need to recognize in our curriculum.
Ms. McLaughlin?
First of all, I want to express my appreciation to the members who have served on the Family Life Education Advisory Committee, led by Dr. Liz Payne. I have heard tremendous praise for the thoughtful work that the committee is doing, and I especially appreciate what Liz Payne brings to this work for our advisory committee members. This is very important. We just talked earlier tonight about educating the whole child. And, we have a responsibility to provide, as an educational system, information that helps educate them as in all aspects of their lives before they head into adulthood. They leave us and they become adults. And so I understand how thoroughly this advisory committee vets the work that's before them. They put in tremendous amount of time and care to it. And so not only do I feel comfortable supporting their recommendations, but I also appreciate and respect that the Commonwealth of Virginia provides for the opt-out so that families in the end can be making decisions for what information they want their children to be learning. But we have such an important responsibility in this school system to deliver lessons that are based on research and best practice. And that is my understanding of what FCPS continues to do. As the mother of 3 sons, 2 are recent graduates of this school system. They have never expressed any concern at all about the material that they've learned. But having 2 sons in college and this conversation that we talk about, the dating violence, it's really important that everybody be well informed about making good choices, and also recognizing that young men and young women need to be mindful of what it means to be responsible. And to be aware and to look out for one another. All of those things matter and they're important. So I will be supporting the recommendations before us tonight.
Ms. Palchik?
Thank you. Yes, I mainly want to second the words of Mr. Moon, Ms. Corbett-Sanders, and Ms. McLaughlin. I did get a very thorough report from the Providence District representative, and just want to be clear that my understanding is that portions were edited from the video to make it more appropriate for our high school population. I wholeheartedly agree that college is too late to teach about how to prevent violence. It's and especially sexual violence, as we've seen sadly in the news lately. Sorry, I get very emotional about this. I also support the changes that were made that now encourage our families' involvement for our students that are included in the lesson. And I think I want to also commend Ms. Payne. It looks like the committee was very thoughtful, mindful, and took time to discuss and to find ways to have as much consensus as possible with the recommendations that were made for this. So I will be supporting this, and I do want us to remember that we are looking tonight at the recommendations that are being made, and they are not related to what was voted on last year. Thank you.
Mr. Press?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I couldn't have put it any better myself. You know, I want to begin by saying this recommendation is, you know, FLECAC is one of my favorite committees because it is the one of the few committees where there are multiple student representatives, where they place a strong value on hearing the student voice. And I made sure that when I was putting appointees on that committee that I chose a diversity of perspectives. And as Ms. Schultz alluded to, you know, that perspective was brought to the table. We have a better recommendation for it. But to Ms. Corbett-Sanders' point, every recommendation in here was passed by a pretty substantial majority, most of them unanimous. And I think it is the responsible thing of this board to do to listen to its appointees on this committee who spent a year immersed in these items, discussing them, studying them, and preparing them for a recommendation to this board. Look, we need to prepare our students for the world that they're entering, and for some, the world that they're already living in. Dating violence, there are two things that shock me like no other when I hear about them occurring in our schools. And like Ms. Palchik, I get pretty emotional about this. One of them is opioid abuse, which we have addressed, thankfully. Thanks a lot to you, to Dr. Payne, to your team, and their great work on this. The other is dating violence and assault. Some of our students are already living this reality, and for some, they need to be prepared for that eventuality when they go off into the world after high school. So it is a responsible thing of this board to do. As Ms. Palchik said, this isn't changing anything about what was decided last May and June. So I support these recommendations wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Huff?
Thank you. I've had a good opportunity to ask staff many questions about the process for voting on the recommended changes to the FLE curriculum. I appreciate the time and the answers. I've also had time to speak to some of the members of the committee recommending these changes, and I thank them for their time and effort. As a new board member, I still have a lot of questions about the FLE curriculum in general, as does the public. I realize the vote tonight is only on the new recommendations and not on the curriculum as a whole. With only 6 months on the board, I have not had a chance to understand the FLE curriculum development process better. So given that, I will abstain on the recommendations tonight.
Mr. McElwain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too would like to commend Liz Payne and the work of FLECAC. You know, this is a committee that always allows us to stay proactive and stay on the cusp of real issues that are affecting our kids and our community, whether it's human trafficking, which this board has been proactive on for a couple years now, and now with dating violence. You know, it's very sad, but I hear all the time of cases of FCPS graduates going on to college and having these kind of encounters. And so it's good that we teach them while they're here, before they go off to college, of the potential for these kind of issues. So again, thank you to Ms. Payne and FLECAC.
Ms. Derenak-Kofax?
Just echoing the statements of my colleagues, thanking FLECAC members for your very hard work again this year, and Ms. Payne for your leadership on this committee. As the mother of a 17-year-old rising senior this year, girl, I appreciate this new curriculum. It will come too late for her. I will teach these things to her myself, but I think it is something I read to her in the paper, a study from Georgetown University that said 3 out of 10 girls are in some way involved in some kind of issues and sexual violence problems. That was just in the Washington Post a few days ago. And so we talked at length about that. I think there was one comment, and I was looking for it here in the comments, that somebody said it's so important that we do offer this curriculum in the school, because our assumption is we're all coming from, all the children that we serve are coming from stable homes and environments, and they're not. And some don't even recognize that what they're seeing within their own homes or their own family structure are things that are not right and not well and are abusive. And this curriculum will help these children and allow them to have voices and places to go, other caring adults within their community to do that. Again, I respect the rights of parents who for whatever reason choose to opt out. That's why it is part of our family life education, and you have that opportunity. But I think some of the things which we are passing tonight are simply extremely important for our teenage children, and it's I look forward to moving this forward.
Mrs. Schultz has a go back.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, because we keep talking about that this is a recommendation of the FLECAC Advisory Board, which is made up of a lot of staff and a lot of our members who are appointed by us. And to be perfectly clear, that FLECAC committee looks exactly like this board. So everything that's happened to date, I mean, I'm very thankful that Mr. Press seems to say that he's intentionally selected members for diversity among the students, and maybe that's why we got a very honest answer from a student who said, this in no way, shape, or form has the business of being presented to high school students, and it made her uncomfortable. The question is that where is the diversity in the appointments from this board in reflecting, not this board, but reflecting the community? And I can tell you that when you see a unanimous opinion from a FLECAC committee, it's because they felt like that was the best that they could do, not that they disagreed with it. I mean, it's no piece of cake to sit up here and disagree with 9 or 10 or 11 of your colleagues and stand alone and say, no, I choose to actually act, as Mr. Albert said earlier, on the matter of principle. And the question is what's going to happen coming out of these classrooms where children are exposed to this material, and some children, and I appreciate Ms. Derenak-Kovacs, you brought up the fact that some families aren't stable enough to have this conversation, then, and I agree, but why not have it be opt-in for those families instead of making everybody else opt out, making us go through the process of opting out, and then there becomes a narrative that happens in the bathroom, in the hall, on the bus, on the field, in the locker room, that is perpetuating what was said in the classroom, and often the tin can game of teenagers is that what the information that gets passed on isn't accurate. It is a manifestation of what they see on the internet and what they're talking about. And the more that we put this type of information without the context of the family and help maybe families who are struggling and how to communicate with their children and not collaborate and join and be partners with families, but instead supplant parental rights and say that we know better, that we're expanding beyond the Virginia Board of Education's curriculum, becomes for me the problem. And when we order ourselves where the parents come first and then we come second to supplement what families need, instead of supplanting parents and saying that we know better what kids need than their own families do, then I think that we'll probably be in a better place with the community.
Yes, Mrs. Strauss has a go back.
Just a very quick go back. I know that we have mentioned a couple of other items, particularly the teen dating violence, which is very important information because we obviously want our young people to understand what's wrong, what's right, how to avoid these situations, and how to help. But another issue is human sex trafficking, which is also included in this. And again, strategies for prevention and help. And this is a very difficult situation, but unfortunately this does go on in our community. And if we can save young girls from disappearing, because that's actually what happens. And sometimes you will see an Amber Alert for a teenage girl who we have lost. This is sometimes where they have been scooped up, and it's a heartbreaking situation. And if we can prevent this from happening in our own community, from saving these young girls, we have saved that child's life. So it is important that this topic be included for our older high school students, and so that they understand that this is a horrible thing that goes on, and again, how to prevent it from happening, and how to help if there is a suspicion that somebody else is going to be swept up and disappeared. So we must protect our children against this kind of behavior in our community, and this curriculum for 10th and 11th graders helps to prevent this. Thank you.
Okay, I think seeing no other hands, we will go ahead and vote on the motion. The motion is that the school board approve recommended media, print, and lesson objectives as detailed in the agenda item and as reviewed and recommended by the Family Life Education Curriculum Advisory Committee, presented as new business May 26, 2016. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Darnat, Koufax, McElvain, Strauss, Corbett, Sanders, Evans, Hines, Moon, McLaughlin, and Palchik. Those opposed? Schultz, those abstaining. Huff, the motion passes. Okay. Item 5, consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure, Robert's rules, provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board by a single motion. Many items listed have gone through board review, and documentation has been provided to all board members and the public in advance. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member prior to the meeting. 5.01, approve the minutes of the February 4th, 2016 regular school board meeting. 5.02, approve the reappointment of Susan Quinn, Kristen Michael, and Marty Smith to the ERFC Board of Trustees for a one-year term beginning July 1, 2016 and ending June 30, 2017. 5.03, approve the appointment of Michael Burke to the ERFC Board of Trustees for a one-year term beginning July 1, 2016. 5.04, confirm the separations as indicated below for the period beginning May 1, 2016 and ending May 31, 2016 as detailed in the agenda item. 5.05, reappoint Mr. Greg Cohen as a citizen member of the Audit Committee for a two-year term ending June 30, 2018. 5.06, appoint committee members to the Social Studies Based Instructional Materials Adoption Committee as detailed in the agenda item. 5.07, appoint individuals to serve on school board citizen advisory committees as detailed in the agenda item. 5.08, adopt policy 1801, student representative to the school board, and policy 5501, preparation of annual budget as detailed in the agenda item. 5.09, suspend policy 4680, salary redlining procedure as described in the agenda item for budgetary reasons for the period effective July 1, 2016 and ending June 30, 2017. Further direct the superintendent to suspend the redlining provisions of any implementing regulation for the same period. Is there any objection to approving the consent agenda? Hearing and seeing none, the consent agenda is approved. Item 6, new business. The following are new business agenda items. There will not be a vote tonight on these items, but action is scheduled at a future meeting. 6.01, award the contract for the automatic temperature control system replacement at Bailey's Elementary School to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and authorize the division superintendent or the assistant superintendent of facilities and transportation services to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 6.02, approve the creation of a Jeb Stuart renaming working group to consist of students, parents, community members, alumni, and business and community leaders to be chosen by the superintendent in consultation with the board. 6.03, approve the 2016-2021 local plan for the education of the gifted. 6.04, approve the creation of a Human Resources Advisory Committee aligned with Goal 3 of the FCPS Strategic Plan, Premier Workforce, and begin phasing out the current Human Relations Advisory Committee, and that the board change the Adult and Community Education Advisory Committee from a board advisory committee to a superintendent's advisory committee. 7.01, superintendent matters. I call on Dr. Garza.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm excited to announce the new Book Your Summer reading program that invites all students to dive into books they want to read while using the new Read Activity Card as a guide. The program runs until September the 7th. Book Your Summer is a new program for FCPS. It's a K-12 program designed to build a community of readers in FCPS. Students who will be in grades 1 through 12 in the 2016-2017 school year are challenged to read books of their choice for fun and to keep track of their progress. And this is in partnership with the county libraries, and we're very, very excited about it. Research is very, very clear that students who continue to read throughout the summer, any kind of reading loss is minimized, if not completely eliminated. So we think it's great work for our students to be involved in and have a lot of fun reading great books. I want to congratulate all of our 2016 high school graduates. I know our board has attended quite a number of graduations in the recent weeks, we typically graduate around 12,000 to 13,000 students every year, and it's no better example of why we do the work that we do than to go to our graduations and participate in those celebrations with the students and their families. So I congratulate each and every one of them. I attended yesterday the summer lunch barbecue with the First Lady of Virginia, Dorothy McAuliffe, at Hobla Valley Elementary School. Ms. Derenak Fairfax, Ms. Corbett Sanders, and Mr. Ryan McElveen were all there yesterday, along with a number of members of our leadership team. We will be providing barbecue lunch at 10 locations this summer. It is free to all children up to age 18, and adults can also participate for a nominal fee. Just 2 days this week, we served over 2,700 students, and yesterday at Hobla Valley, we served over 535 meals. I'm very, very excited and pleased with the very innovative work that's continuing in our food nutrition services programming. It was acknowledged by the First Lady, and certainly we're very, very proud of the work that Rodney Taylor and all of our food nutrition services staff are doing. We're expanding breakfast in the classroom. We have snacks in the afternoon, we have barbecues, we have all kinds of wonderful things happening there, and we're very proud of that. I also want to thank the FCPS principals who are retiring this year. Twyla Mack from Old Creek, Annette Almadina Cabrera from Wayne Oak, Sigrid Ryberg from London Town, Cecilia Brazil from Bush Hill, Tam Ballou from Graham Road, Sharon Bumgarden from Little Run, Roberto Palmas from Holmes Middle School, and Gwen from Herndon Elementary School, Danny Little from Irving Middle School, Kathy Bruce from Bronny Bray Elementary School, and Patrice Brown from Bull Run. All of these wonderful people together have 262 years of service. Isn't that impressive? So we're very, very appreciative of their great leadership in our school system, and they'll be missed. Congratulations also to Mary Beth Loveklass and her information technology team for winning 3 Emmys. The winning productions were Innovation Workshop on Nanotechnology, the How-To Guide Teaching Parents How to Register for Head Start, a conversation with the astronaut and Robinson alumni Kel Lindgren. Those were all of our winning Emmy Award-winning productions. Finally, the 2015-2016 school year was a wonderful success, and we're just hearing more and more about what a great year this was for many of our schools and for all of our students. So I want to congratulate and send my thanks to every one of our employees throughout the system, and I hope they have an opportunity to take a little time this summer for some safe and restful summer, but also to rejuvenate. So thank you very much. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Item 8, board committee reports. Next on the agenda is our board committee reports. I call on Mr. McElveen. Is there a report for public engagement?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the PEC committee discussed the idea of an AAP summit that was first brought by myself to the forum. We did ask staff to gather a little more information about what's been done in the past and how we can best package that going forward. It's been an honor to be your PEC chairman, and I wish whoever has that seat in the future all the best.
Ms. Strauss for Audit Committee.
Thank you. The Audit Committee met last night, and you took one more look at the proposed FY 2017 audit plan. A little bit of wordsmithing still going, but we intend to bring a recommended audit plan for 2017 to the full board for discussion at the work session on July 18th, so that can be approved by the end of July, so that we will begin the year with a full audit plan.
We also received the audit on claims management and loss prevention, and an update on management actions taken as a result of past audits from FY 2007 to 2015. There was also a brief summary of business process turnover audits. There were no significant findings, but it is important that we continue to audit our schools on a regular basis so that we make sure that all of our schools are keeping their books in an appropriate way and are meeting our standards. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Evans for a report on our forum.
Yes, we had one item, and we've agreed to take some time at our July retreat to get a briefing and, on a new web design, logo, and branding.
Okay. Item 9, board matters. I call on Ms. Darnett Koufax to start us off.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was my honor to attend the 6 graduations and work 1 all-night grad party in my district. I want to say congratulations again to all of our 2016 graduates. We wish you much success in your next chapter in life, and also wishing a happy, relaxing summer to all of those students who we will see again in September.
Mr. McElveen?
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Once again, it was my distinct honor to host 2 Korean teachers from Incheon City. I want to thank Mr. Moon for his continued shepherding of that program, where we have teachers come for a couple of weeks, visit our classes, teach some lessons in Korean culture, and learn in exchange. And you know, that's a program that we do biannually, and it's a really great program. So. Thanks for that. I too enjoyed the graduations, and I am glad to be back out exercising and done with the sitting. And finally, I do want to echo Dr. Garza's remarks about the FEEDS program. This is truly a remarkable program that gives free lunches to any of our under 18 kids out there who need nutrition during the summer. It was great to have Dorothy McAuliffe there, along with the bear. I still don't know who was in the bear costume, but the bear was a great touch. Wishing everyone a wonderful summer.
Ms. Huff?
I just want to say congratulations to the 2016 graduates. Enjoy your summer.
Okay, Ms. Strauss?
Thank you. Yes, I was able to attend Langley, McLean, and Herndon graduations, also Cedar Lane and Mountain View, and Thomas Jefferson. And it's a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the huge range of young people who we help graduate from our high schools. And it is always inspiring, particularly to hear at Mountain View, the students who have been so challenged to finish their high school diploma, some of them coming from situations where very limited schooling, coming by themselves, determined to finish high school, working full-time. They are such heroes to hear their stories, and I always wish that, on the one hand, many of our young people who have come to school with so many advantages would hear the stories and the determination of other students who have worked so hard against huge odds to finish high school. I am so proud of these children. And at the same time, to hear many of our talented young people who are determined to give back to their community, to make sure that they will use what their families and their schools have taught them to solve problems, solve difficult problems, and dedicate themselves and the work that comes ahead, college, military, whatever, to truly making their communities better and making life better for the people around them. So it's a great experience. Thank you. And the inside advantage to McLean and Langley having their graduations in the same place at the same day is that all of our principals also attend in those pyramids. We have great exchange of how are things going? How many kids have you got? How are we doing? How's staffing going? What do we need to know as a school board to make sure that we're saving your children and serving your children and your families well? So we get a lot of good information as well as we, again, work over the summer to be well prepared for the children and families when they arrive in September. So have a wonderful summer. I'm taking care of my grandchildren. It's one reason why at pushing 70 you don't have children of your own anymore. But we're having a wonderful time. Thank you.
Ms. Corbett-Sanders.
Thank you. I wanted to echo the comments on the summer feed program yesterday. It was truly a wonderful experience to be able to participate in the energy that was in the air of all of the children with their families coming to take advantage of this wonderful program and additional programming available to those families. For those that are looking to find out where they can take advantage of the feed program, just text FEED 877-877. Additionally, I do want to echo my congratulations to all of the graduates. One of the most inspiring part about the graduation is to hear from the students about where they're going next and how they're going to take advantage of all of the opportunities they've had within our school system to pay it forward. I would also encourage you to take into account that each of the graduations I attended, the students walked away with between $4 and $5 million worth of student aid, grant money, and scholarships. And so when we talk about our investment and the return on investment, that is just amazing when you see what these kids are up to. And the last item I do want to share with my colleagues is that we will be bringing to you, sharing with you the work of the Schools Committee of the Planning Commission in the next couple of weeks as they revise their language to reflect the 21st century needs of our school system. Thank you. Happy summer.
Ms. Evans.
I want to thank Darul Hijra for their invitation to an iftar dinner. I very much appreciate both the invitation and their hospitality. I also had a wonderful time at graduations, very inspiring speeches, and of course it was just wonderful seeing all those young graduates walking across the stage after 13 years of hard work. And so congratulations to all of our 2016 graduates, and have a happy and restful summer, everyone.
Mr. Moon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Earlier today, along with Mr. McElveen and Mrs. Huff, I attended a slightly different graduation. It's a custodial graduation where we celebrated the accomplishments of close to probably about 100 custodians who participated. This is a professional development program where they enhance their job skills and also find a way to grow, professionally, career advancement, etc. And just one more from that, graduation, I would like to note is that our assistant superintendent for facilities and transportation, Jeff Plettenberg, quite impressive with his bilingual skills. I didn't know he was a Spanish speaker. Good job.
Ms. McLaughlin.
Well, because of graduations, we extended our normal business meeting from being every 2 weeks to 3. So quite a bit has happened. And I just wanted to touch on a couple things. First of all, to Dr. Garza as well as to Ms. Strauss. The Kennedy Center Cappies were truly remarkable yet again this year. And to Ms. Strauss and her partners in crime, especially Ms. Bounds and J.D. Anderson, who works tirelessly behind the scenes. Just incredible. What happens for our students to be celebrated in that way for their remarkable performances, but to be at the Kennedy Center, that will touch their lives forever. And so to Dr. Garza, as head of the school system, everything that you do to help support and ensure that the Kennedy Center Cappies happens every year, I just think is one of the most hidden treasures that we offer any student coming through the performing arts in Fairfax County Schools. Just absolutely amazing. And I loved seeing the leadership team members, my colleagues on the board, I mean, being there and demonstrating to the kids how special their accomplishments, and to the countless theater teachers who've inspired them. Really a true highlight for me this year again. And then I also wanted to just note to the public, if they weren't aware, we had an outstanding retreat with the Board of Supervisors on June 14th, bringing together 22 elected officials who are doing their very best to really look at how we strengthen both schools and county services. I thought it went very well overall in terms of the tenor of the conversation, and I am encouraged about where we're going together as the two joint boards. And I do want to give a shout out to our 1999 or 97, I think it was 99, student representative who came and spoke here tonight. You did an outstanding job, and I really appreciate you coming out and speaking on behalf of your alma mater. You are a reflection of the greatness that we continue to enjoy here in Fairfax County with our student representative to the board, and just wanted to personally extend my thanks to you for being here and sharing such eloquent words tonight. And then finally, I just want to say to everyone, next Monday will be our 240th 4th of July in this country. And when we look at where we are globally right now, there is a lot of turmoil. And I know this 4th of July for me especially, I'm going to be so thankful for our founding fathers and everyone who fought to create the freedom and the democracy that we Americans are so blessed to enjoy. And so I hope to all of our citizens here in Fairfax County that you have a very safe but enjoyable Independence Day, and do try to think about, again, how blessed we are to live in this country.
Mrs. Schultz?
So first, I have a little bit of sad news. I am reaching out to my Hunt Valley Elementary community who lost very, very tragically in a summer family trip one of the rising sixth graders in an SUV accident. And my heart aches for the staff and the families, but most of all the father of this student in Springfield. On nicer news, my Greenbrier East community, you were magnificent advocates. You know what you were advocating for, and I was pleased to be able to join with you and help you with your staffing issue. And I think that that's going to prove a very happy situation for the whole Greenbrier East community. Each year, I try to reflect on the graduations. This is the first year that Dr. Garza and some of her senior leadership attempted to do a little bit of standardizing. Not a fan of big government, but there were some things that were necessary to kind of create, I think, some nice aspects of graduations. I would recommend saying the Pledge of Allegiance before the national anthem, because usually everybody's riled up, but I'll pass on those comments. But I have a few awards that are just verbal awards, but absolutely sorry because I had my own graduate this year. It's a three-way tie for the graduations that I missed, that I'm the most sorry I missed, which were Westfield's, Fairfax, and Centerville. Without a doubt, most hospitable, South County. I don't know if it's the staff or the parents. Just an amazing, thoughtful approach to graduation. Definitely the best musical selection was West Springfield, and their madrigal performance was off the hook. TJ, I wouldn't believe it, but it was the most homegrown. There were more inside jokes told from the podium between the principal and the students, and there was just a really tight sense of community that was really very refreshing to see. My youngest graduates were my Cherry Run 6th grade promotion, which I enjoy immensely, and was particularly touched at the way the community responded to two profoundly disabled children. Was really was just really very touching to see what we're doing and how we're helping children with significant special needs become educated to their potential, and the kindness. And I could tell in that community when a younger sibling of another sixth grader came up to spontaneously hug one of these profoundly disabled children, you saw what a wonderful community that was. And so, excuse me, so Principal Bibby, kudos to you. And I know that this is going to be perceived to be somewhat prejudiced, but definitely the best graduation was Robinson. Kel Lindgren as the speaker, you know, from our astronaut from outer space and Robinson grad, couldn't have been more proud, but just delivered a message of such grace, and the competition that they do for students, for a student speaker, yields without a doubt some of the best, funniest, proudest moments that I have of how articulate graduates from FCPS can be given good guidance by both their families and good educators. And the last thing I want to say is I want to thank, I couldn't even begin to estimate how many all-night grad party volunteers there were. The thing that was so amazing to me was how many people who didn't actually have children in the school system. They didn't have seniors, and they got pulled in by a friend who said, look, we really need to keep and create a safe environment for these kids and keep kids off the roads and keep them engaged. And that really, to me, was a level of commitment and engagement in creating a safe and engaged next generation. You know, the millennials, I think they're now the founders, and showing them what leadership actually looks like by being with them and engaged with them, and allowing them to participate in a great event. So to all of you people who gave untold numbers of hours, not just that night, but leading up to it, in each of our high schools, thank you very, very much.
Okay, Ms. Palchik.
Thank you. I want to start by congratulating and welcoming two of our new principals at Westgate and Graham Road, two very inspiring women. I'm very excited to be working with them, Ms. Dimitriades and Dr. Elliott. I also had a chance to check out the barbecues. I went to Kingsley Commons, which I believe is our one non-school site, but 75% of Graham Road Elementary School students live there. Had a great time, got to chat with some of the parents, and one of them said she just moved into the community and loves that they have so much programming there for their students in the summer. So it's one of our amazing community partners. Graduations, it was fun, interesting to be back at TJ's graduation after 15 years. Felt a little bit old that day, but it was just an amazing community feel. And I would like to give my keynote award to the Stewart graduation speaker who had me at tears, Leanne, who's just inspiring, telling her story. And the Falls Church Academy, the award ceremony for the Academy, the way those kids love Penny Kelly, the firefighters program, is just incredible. Can really see why she was awarded the best CTEC, I think it was, educator. It was just, I know Ms. Evans and I were just sitting there, oh my God. Really appreciate the joint retreat with the Board of Supervisors, the One Fairfax resolution work that was done, and I know that we hope to have some future task force or work ahead of us together. And finally, a heartfelt, deep shout out and thank you. Donna Franklin is retiring after 30 years of service to FCPS and Channel 21. She was my beloved mentor when I was in high school. So Donna, I hope you get to enjoy retirement, and I know your family at FCPS will miss you. Thank you and good night.
Okay, well, this will be the last time that I bang the gavel at the end of a meeting. This is my last meeting as chair. I think I'll start the next meeting, but then quickly hand it over to our new, to the superintendent. But anyway, that will come later. So I just want to thank so much all of the staff, everyone who's been so helpful, particularly our wonderful clerks who's been so helpful to me in the last year, and to my school board members for your patience and your support and help. I particularly want to help our security staff tonight because we've been getting some good advice from them about some changes that we need to be making for the safety of everyone. And I hope that the changes that we started tonight were not difficult for people to manage. So I appreciate everyone here tonight coming out. So I believe this school year and this meeting are adjourned, right?